What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Scrap Time Podcast. As always, I'm joined by my co-host hailing out of California, Mr. James Cryer, the Goach. Chris, when do you have a belief sign? Did you always have the Ted Lasso sign behind your desk?
I have, Ben. That shows you how much you don't pay attention.
Yeah, I don't pay attention. But we do have a special guest today, member of LA Thieves, won champs last year, been the GOAT in a number of different games. And we've been trying to get him for a while, Mr. Ken, aka Kenny, aka Quavo.
Yo,
What's good, Ken? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Been just chilling.
Just chilling. It is a busy period, Rostermania period. So I'm a little surprised you're just chilling, but I like to hear that you're having a good time. Well, cool. So we'll get right into it. Ken, the way we're gonna do this, and so chat and Tom, is we have a bunch of questions for Ken. Ken, a mix of these questions are questions that I came up with, and a couple are submitted by some users. So shout out to everybody on Twitter that replied with a couple of these, and then we're also gonna do some fun Rostermania stuff at the end. As always, Ken,
Fun.
if you don't have to answer every question, but
Cool.
do you? So I am going to rapid fire them, and then how are we doing this, Chris? Am I asking all the questions?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can ask most of them for the most part. I'll chime in, obviously.
When they say Tom, who did Kenny? Did I just call you Tom?
You did.
Did you call me Tom?
I let that one slide, but you did. You did say
God,
Tom. I didn't know if you were calling Kenny Tom or not that, but yeah.
I didn't even peep it. So.
Bro, you love Zuma, bro. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
He's always thinking about Tommy, bro. That's unbelievable.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right. Well, let's lock in. Ken, I know obviously it was sort of an up and down year. I think to kind of, obviously the Thief situation is likely going to change next season, but I don't want to ask you some negative questions about this year. I want to speak on the team that you had. You guys had kind of 2-year run. What is your overall kind of takeaway from sort of the 24 months that you guys spent together, winning a couple of titles, winning champs? How does it feel kind of at the end now, sort of reflecting back on that time?
I mean, I feel like this is obviously one of the best teams I've been on. I feel like it was the most fun I had, and I feel like most teams I've been on, it's obviously you try to have one of the best team environments you can and practice environments, and I feel like that was one thing we had down to a T for most of it. And then I feel like towards the later half of last year, our practices became really, really bad, and I feel like that's why our inconsistencies really showed at champs in the last major or whatever. But I feel like overall, they're some of my best friends. Zach's obviously my son, and I love playing with him. And I feel like with me and Dill, before we teamed, we actually we didn't like each other for the longest time because we teamed on Justice, and I had a lot of hate towards Dill.
Oh, you did? I forgot about that.
I didn't have a lot of hate. Obviously, I just had this mindset that Dill costed me an AW because he did play really bad. Respectfully, he did. And we even joke about it all the time. And so I feel like whenever he became a free agent, I DM'd him. I'm like, yo, pull up. And so me and him developed a relationship over time that I feel like I cherish very highly. And I feel like obviously me and Sam. I mean, you were there, Chris, for most of the time with me and Sam, and
assuming nothing's changed, yeah.
Yeah. I love Sam, and I'm super sad that obviously he has to go. But yeah, I mean, overall, I love the team. I'm really glad I got to have this team because it was one of the teams that for me mentally wasn't draining, was fun to play with, had a good practice environment, and we were a unit. So
yeah, no, that's definitely true. I feel like that's what you obviously try and go with for so many teams, because I think again, as nice of a job it is to be a pro COD player or obviously coach or whatever it is it is in the industry, getting on every day and just despising to play sucks, bro. That is not fun. Even if it's coaching and then you just get on, you're this is about to be a fucking 5 to 6 hours of just terribleness. That's just awful. But bro, I was gonna say, well, first of all, I forgot you guys teamed, you and Envoy, on Justice. Bro, why was he dude, I think really highly of him now. I think he's really good. I think Envoy's really good.
Dill's gross.
Yeah, obviously. How is he not good at that game?
Okay, that's the thing. He wasn't bad. That's the thing. His issue was that he in uplink he would only go to the ball. He really wanted the ball the whole time. We were at Worlds and AW, and we were actually pretty good at Worlds.
You were, yeah.
Yeah, and we were literally telling him we had a day where we beat some team. I can't remember who we played, it was some decently good team, and we end up winning. But he had went triple neg in the uplink, and me and Spacely, Mike Spacely, went to our hotel room, brought him in, sat down in front of him. He was like, "Yo, listen, we think you're gross. You just need to not go for the ball. Just get a kill. Like tomorrow, we'll grab the ball for you." And that was his only issue. And for us to get top 6, he ended up dropping 16 versus whoever was on Haggie's team at the time. And like I said, he wasn't bad at the game. It was just uplink in general, and I feel like uplink was a really important.
That shit was so important. It's just funny you say that because dude, I just remember he was one of the few people I feel in COD that didn't have the best statistical run in general, with that Justice team, but when he started playing in Black Ops 4 again, he started showcasing his talent again. I feel like he was disgusting, and obviously we know how his career has played out to now. But yeah, bro, I forgot about that team. And you had Mike on your team. Why was he trying to grab the ball, bro? Mike was taking,
Mike get the rock, bro.
It's funny.
What the hell?
They make the cuts off the ball, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Bro, you didn't have to go for the ball, but to be fair, he had really good movement in the game, so
he definitely did.
Why he wanted the ball.
That makes sense. It's just so funny with that team now. Looking back, yeah, bro. Pass Mike the rock and start getting some goddamn kills, bro. Shit.
Literally.
Sackman was in my chat, and he sent me the tweet that you sent on December 29th, 2015. So this tweet was sent 8 years ago. At Dylan Envoy, take professional player out of your bio, kid, because you did nothing to deserve that. So that was fun times before you guys teamed together the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Oh, that was when Twitter was fun.
Wait. There's no way.
Wait, that's incredible.
I have the Giazzo.
That's a good tweet.
Sackman put in my chat.
That is a solid fucking tweet, bro.
Yeah, that's a good tweet. I'll take it. I don't know why I tweeted him that, but that's a good tweet.
Wait, that's in 2015, so that was during AW. That was AW. So I don't. Yeah.
Maybe
it's fucking hilarious.
I don't remember how the season AW went because it had to be after the season.
Yeah, no. Well, the season yeah, it had to be. That had to be after the season. But I don't. The season ended late.
Black Ops 3 before Christmas was Black Ops 3. It was Pro League qualifiers. That would have been.
That's okay. So then. Okay, there had to be some beef after Worlds.
There had to be, and then I don't think he was old enough to play anymore, with the rules. So he probably started cooking you or something. And you probably started roasting his shit, bro, or something like that. That's definitely what happened.
Well, you must have beat him in a prime or something, and fucking.
Or some online tournament, some bullshit.
I wish I could run the stats back from that Worlds because I looked at them a year or two ago, and I was trying. I was actually top 6 in almost all game modes, and that's what I'm saying. I was bro, that. Obviously, my ego was insane at the time. You know what I mean? Insane at the time. So I'm I'm fried. How are we losing? And I'm just looking at the scoreboard bro, get a kill.
That's funny because I remember playing you guys back before I stopped playing. And I just remember playing that Justice team. I thought Envoy was annoying. I'm not going to lie at first. I do remember thinking he was annoying. But freaking... I remember playing you at the bow and you were fucking gross. I think I actually said something to you after we played. I was bro, you were fucking... godlike, you were next up. Even
the thing I respected about Dill was he invited his mom, and at first we're why are you your mom wants to meet us, bro. His mom is bro. Oh,
his parents are really nice. Isn't his dad hilarious?
Yeah, his dad. They're both hilarious. But at the time, I only met his mom, and she came with a big trash bag just full of snacks. It was literally a trash bag you put in your kitchen. I was yo, she had water, snacks. I'm she might be the GOAT.
That's awesome.
And at that point, I was bro, I love Dill. And then obviously we got slammed and beef.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I've always been told his parents are really nice. I feel I've heard a lot about his dad being fucking hilarious too.
Oh yeah, his parents are comedy.
All right, we can move on.
I think
to the
my question is to kind of follow up, Ken. Obviously, you had a bit of a gap after AW. What was it managing those couple of years where after after AW when CWL started, you had to be 18 and over. There were some rumors before Black Ops 2 that they were going to find a way for people under 18 to sign some kind of waiver, but that never came through.
Yeah.
So you and Kyler and Donnie couldn't play. Managing those couple of years, how did you handle that as an individual?
So after AW, I was well, obviously I heard about the rumors of Kyler trying to go play Halo. So I was kind of late to the Halo wave, but I ended up playing Halo for most of the time. I initially played BO3 because of, you said, the waiver thing. I heard about it, so I was kind of yo, let me play it and make sure, even if this happens, I'll be able to, play. And then once it was, confirmed that you had to be 18, I stopped playing BO3. Went to Halo, and I played it for the 2 years. Like I didn't even buy IW, so I didn't even play IW at all. I still don't know what maps on IW, what guns. I've heard of them because obviously players, like I've talked to players, but I played in Halo. I was just placing top 12 every event in Halo, to be honest. And then that was pretty much it.
Did you try? I'm trying to think. The Black Ops 3 time, wasn't there like the E6 team that was? I was like, were you part of that with like Donnie?
No.
You weren't.
Oh, they were trying to like what there was an option of like having like an under 18 team with like Don, Kyler Teej, and possibly me and like somebody else. So
you guys would have been gross.
Obviously it would have been something I wanted to do, and I feel like I would have wanted to play with them. Like me and Don got really close then, so
yeah,
it was definitely an option.
Yeah, no,
at the time.
about that. And then I'm trying to think. I'm trying to like date back to old this. I feel like it's so long ago now, bro. Fucking, we're old.
Oh yeah.
What about wasn't there a Gears thing too? Were you part of the Gears thing, or was that Donnie?
No. So,
I know Donnie was thinking about Gears.
So there's an off season, but it wasn't during that. It wasn't during. We played after World War II. We played Gears in off season, and me and Don wanted to go to an event, and we were trying to form a team to go to an event in Gears.
Okay.
And we were grinding that for a minute. Yeah.
That's what I was. I forgot about that too. That's actually nuts, dude. I didn't realize how long of a gap that was that you didn't play IW like at all either.
Oh yeah, I literally haven't even played the game like
really
casually.
You never bought it? That's nuts.
I never bought it. I don't know. I know like the guns like K-Bar, obviously all the guns and stuff, but like that's because I obviously Cat talks about it all the time. Like I don't really know much about that game.
Wait, so that all right?
I like came to World War II fresh, like no COD for the longest time. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. So with that being said, obviously you take the gap. You don't play IW, which I didn't even know. How the hell did you find your way back on TK and shit? Like, was that Lamar? Like, what the? Like,
So,
well, how did that even start?
I just randomly tweeted out, like, obviously I knew I was turning 18. And I'm still on Twitter, even though I'm on Halo. And I'm like, and a lot of like my Halo homies want to play COD. So I'm like, yeah, I'm about to tweet out free agency, like, whatever. And Lamar hits me up and he's just like, yo, what you thinking? Like, what you doing? And I'm like, nothing. I'm in college. I play Halo. I was and basically I was like working this job that sucked. And he was like, listen, we want to pick you up for TK. And I'm like, what the?
Yeah,
I'm down.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm instantly down. Like you don't have to say a word. So I don't know. It was random. Like to this day, I am super grateful for Lamar. Like I rate Lamar so highly.
Wait, he really knows what he's doing. That's nuts. Yeah, because like I feel like obviously he was still playing COD and shit, but like he went out of his way and like picked you up, and then I mean we all saw what the hell you did.
I didn't even touch COD.
Yeah, and like that's what I mean. Like you weren't even like showcasing like anything. Like, and I didn't realize how long that gap was, but like he was going off of like your skill with an AR in Advanced Warfare, like and a little bit of Black Ops 3, and that's about it. Damn, bro. I didn't realize he scouted you like that. Like I knew he's like obviously I knew he wanted to pick up someone that was cracked and like go with that, but I didn't realize it was like from that far off.
I think the options at the time were me or Rallied, so I think that was really like the two options. And then I think obviously Lamar was talking to like Donnie and them, and I was close with Donnie, so I'm sure there was some vouchers somewhere.
Yeah, there had to be, but still that was the right vouch for sure. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And Donnie ended up teaming with Kyler and Nick and Austin, and that heavy team was interesting, but obviously didn't have the success that you guys had.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong with those guys, bro.
I don't know.
Dude, those guys were like the God Squad at the time. Everyone thought,
on paper,
I thought they were gonna be nasty. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, yo, these guys are about to be a problem.
They were good, bro. They had
they were not.
Bro, Chris, you guys.
They were losing to me, bro.
Yeah, but you also won an event that year. So
I did, but I'm saying, like, bro, I thought they were gonna be like really good. That's like, but I think it took a little bit for Kyler to like come back to COD and adjust, though. To be honest, I feel like he wasn't like fully like informed yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was super like I played a lot of Halo. I grinded Halo. Like I said, I went to like 3 events of Halo, but I was super late to it. Like Kyler was already in for like
he was grinding
before I even thought about it.
I feel like he was also like thinking of, like you even said like months before. I feel like he was like really trying to do it months before too. Like seriously, like he was trying to make a name for himself and stuff. Because I also think he just like loved Halo at that time. I think
for sure.
Yeah.
So
also too, what I will say, because I've done both like competitively, Halo practice or like scrims like that is like it's so much different than like COD. Like
really?
It's not even close. And and it's like the way the game is played is like it's insane. It's insane. Like. Obviously, we gas teamwork and COD all the time, but like Halo,
like
the team shooting and everything is just it's so nutty, and like how practice goes, for me in Halo 5 at least was like pretty interesting. compared to
Yeah.
COD.
What would you say like the biggest difference is between the two? Like
I would
the one
definitely
thing.
say like so scrims in that game are obviously like the same as ours. Like how you pick maps and just play all the maps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I said, the teamwork based thing is like people don't understand like the strat, like hardpoint. You don't have a
Mhm.
strat in hardpoint, but like
Yeah.
in a lot of the other games, you have like in respawn game modes, you have strats, which is kind of weird to me. Was weird to me in Halo, and then like power weapons. Power weapons were like the
Yeah.
biggest thing for me that was like weird because there's a lot of teams in like Halo that like have power weapon guys. Like this is your power weapon guy. If you like at the time, if Snipe Down wanted to snipe, you drop the snipe for Snipe Down.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And it's like stuff like that was just weird. I had to get adjusted to because I'm like, bro, I got the sniper, bro. Like I was here. Like
You got this shit locked down.
Yeah, you guys,
like-
dude, especially in Halo, you're like, I want to
Yeah,
snipe,
like,
bro. Come on,
who
man.
are you? But yeah, stuff
That's
like that is
true.
like you stuff you practice. Like you want to get your power weapon guy to the power weapons. Like stuff like that was weird.
Yeah, no, it's definitely different. And I also feel like Halo and the time to kill and it being so much longer, and I feel like it's like a slower version. Like there's just probably so much more teamwork that you can actually execute on because like COD, bro, like even in Black Ops 4, there was more team shotting in that game because of the time to kill and the stims and stuff. But like, but bro, like most Call of Duties you play are so like someone could just run into a building and make a bad play, but just come out with 3 and it's like, oh shit, good
Exactly.
shit. Like that works, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? That will never work again, but thank God.
Oh, never,
like,
never.
Yeah, that's definitely different. Honestly, that probably helps in a weird way too, like going to a different game and getting some practice from a different like esport.
Oh, yeah.
And then coming back.
Mindset,
Oh, yeah.
approach,
It's just like thinking outside of the box in a sense. I mean, you guys always had really good teamwork, even like when we were working together too. Like our team, I feel like our teamwork was always really good. I feel like that's probably a big help too. All right, what do we got next, Ben?
I have a question, Kenny. This one's come up a bunch.
Yep.
Like on the flank, and the community probably wants to know this. You guys were obviously all free agents this year. Was this a situation where like your org, like Thieves, didn't offer you guys new contracts last year after you won, or did you guys all like kind of opt not to sign any new deals and be free agents? Like, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so there wasn't a new deal, for sure. And obviously we just planned to we planned for the team to be obviously this team, like the four forever. And I know there's like rumors about the pay cut thing, and like it was a thing for us to stick together. Like we had an option to leave LAT last year after we won champs. We had an option. Like we could have all just left, and we all just basically took pay cuts on the contract we already had and just stuck for the last year. Assuming that we were gonna re-sign after this year, obviously. But obviously, at the time, it seemed like the right idea. Like we were looking out for 100T. We were obviously staying loyal to the team that we won champs with.
Yeah.
And for me, like obviously, I have all my I give everything to LAT. Like I feel like LAT is the place that I want to be with forever. So at the time, I'm like, I mean, I don't mind taking a little pay cut for you guys. Like, there's no wrong. Like, you've treated me well. We won champs with you guys. Like, everybody was all in agreement. But we did have an option, opportunity to leave for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with you at LA Thieves, like or 100 Thieves, LA Thieves, like you're in their Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah,
you are. I was gonna say. I feel like everything you guys have done, like since I was there, and now obviously till now, has been fucking nuts. So I feel like that makes sense. It's also just weird with like just the whole environment of esports and stuff in general. I was kind of talking about that earlier in my chat, just like how things are. Like it's like so hard.
Oh
to,
yeah.
Like you know what I mean? It's just fucking crazy. And like I don't know, I'm not like a super expert with all this stuff. Like my expertise is not in that, so it's like I don't even like talking about it in detail. But just like from the outside looking in, even in that sense, I'm like that kind of makes sense sometimes. You know, like I kind of like I'm like that. You know,
somebody explains it to me, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm like, I understand where you're coming from there. Like,
Exactly.
you can kind of like see it. You don't have to be super smart to even notice that, but that is nuts. I mean, let me hold up. Am I missing something? I'm not. I was actually all right. I have a question. Fucking speaking of like LA Thieves and loyalty and all that stuff.
Yeah,
bro. When you guys teamed last year, so Vanguard, not like this MW2 season, bro. When you guys went like 0-5 and you guys were going through it, and you guys came back and you guys won and stuff, like. I've never actually sat down. I talk to Cap a lot. We see each other when we're out here in LA every once in a while. But like, bro, what was like the turning point of that roster? Like, clearly something either A, clicked or like you guys were
Yeah.
doing well and you guys, but like obviously you didn't lose like confidence. At least from the outside, it didn't look like you guys like lost confidence in yourselves at all. You guys were just struggling. Like I feel like that was one of the most underrated moments. And I know like the role switch and stuff is obvious, but I'm saying like there had to be more than just a role switch. Or maybe I'm wrong, but like
more.
yeah, that's what I've always thought. But like that was like one of the most underrated like just turnarounds. And then like you went from 0-5, last place, like not looking good. You guys are struggling. Like you had some ups and downs before then, but then all of a sudden like coming out and like again being like the best team in the game. Like what I always wanted to know like what happened with that.
So when we get 0-5, it's actually funny because we weren't actually like, like we weren't like we didn't lose full confidence because like we were doing really well in scrims, and that was the issue. We were doing really well in scrims, and we just couldn't put together matches. And a lot of those matches in the 0-5, we lost game 5s. So it was like, dang, we could actually been like 4-1 here. We could have been 3-2. So it's like that was in the back of our minds, and we knew we were going to LAN, and obviously that was our thing. Like, yo, we're gonna play better on LAN. So obviously we still had a disappointing like result at the LAN, and afterwards, like obviously, I mean my teammates will say that, like everybody that's working with me will say that. I'm one of the first people to say anything about a match. Like no matter how well or bad I play, I'm the first person that's gonna say like, yo, we should have did this, we didn't do this, we didn't do this. So afterwards, I'm instantly like, yo, what the? We didn't do this? And I'm like, listen, I think we have because we had like a month or two break, and I think that's what actually was the what helped us the most. We had a 2-month break or something like that, and that was like the best time in the leg. And I was like, yo, listen, I want to try me on a sub and Zach on AR. And everybody was like, instantly, everybody agreed. And like everything that happened before that, 0-5, place it bad at the LAN, just kind of went away. We're just like excited to have like a fresh start and we kind of seen it as like a whole new team. And the idea was that like Zach and Dill weren't the most communicative people. Like they're not the most talkative ones. And me and Sam were, and we're obviously on ARs, and we kind of wanted to split it where we had like one AR, like Sam obviously being IGO, like talking a lot, blah 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 blah. Me giving out a lot of info because I call out a lot. I talk really fast. I'm calling out everything I see. I'm calling out what I'm doing. Like, so we thought that was actually going to be like what helped us was the communication thing, because that's what we thought we were like missing out on. And then practices started going better. And like people will gas like me on the sub, and I did get better at running the sub, but I feel like in general we were really good at all the maps that I could run a third AR or switch.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I feel like you guys are so good at those maps. Yeah.
So I feel like I wouldn't say it was a pacing issue for us, but I do just feel like the fresh start for us in the 2-month span that we had to practice us on new things was like really good for us. And I feel like the whole year was just like us trying to get good at Tuscan. I feel like Tuscan was like our big map, and then Berlin came in. Berlin Control came in, and that also is what helped us a lot because we're really godlike at that map.
Interesting. Yeah, dude. I just remember like just thinking back of that season, like obviously the run that you guys had and that shit was nuts. But like that does make sense though too, because when I feel like with Sam being such a good communicator, and obviously you do too, like between you two, like you guys talk enough for the other two to like kind of do their thing and fry. But like
exactly
when you're a sub, and like it's just different because like if Sam's like obviously theoretically like behind you guys a lot, obviously he's the slowest player on your team in that sense, like if he's giving you a bunch of comms of like what you guys should do, what's going on, like what he's watching, like, and then you're in the front line obviously doing a lot of it too.
You're in
like,
the mix.
Yeah. And I think a big thing too, at least from like what you said, is like having that role switch and having that fresh start. Like I feel like that fresh start sometimes is all you need to like completely change your mindset of just practice. And like even like as an individual, like if it's a fresh start, it's like, all right, if I play this role or I just start doing my shit now together, like we'll be just disgusting. So like interesting. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But yeah, that was crazy because I feel like that was like one of the craziest things I've seen in COD in a long time. Because before that, everyone on shows like this and fucking podcasts and all this other shit was like, blow it up. These guys are fucking ass, fucking all this shit. Saying Sam sucks, you guys suck, this guy sucks. It's like, dude, like, then you guys came out of nowhere, flipped it around, and everyone loved you guys.
Exactly. I mean, like I said before, too, is like practice was never bad.
Yeah, which is important. Like, that's the biggest important. Like that's the most important thing right there. Is like if your practice is never bad, like, and you have that faith that you can turn around, as long as like the team's not mentally chalked, I think that's like where you will always have a chance to.
Like I don't even think this ever came out, but I'm pretty sure before we went 0-5, after the major we came back from, we went like 4 or 5 days straight of not losing a map.
In scrims?
In scrims, yeah. We didn't lose a map in scrims for like 4 or 5 days straight. Like we had the record, and like and we're just like paying attention to it. Obviously, we're godlike, and then we go 0-5, and it's like, what the, like,
That's
what just
nuts.
happened?
So that was
Yeah.
before you went 0-5. You guys were that good.
Right before we went 0-5, we literally came back from the major, and we were with 4 or 5 days straight, and didn't lose a map.
What? And then you guys went 0-5.
That's when you know, bro. You're just in the zone.
Well, you said you lost a lot of
Yeah.
game 5, so I'm assuming in game 5's like that's a lot of search too, and that's as much as practice you get. Obviously, you don't get the same.
Searches.
Like I don't search practice. I don't think will ever
It's
be
fake.
the same. That's what I like.
Fake.
You get like some things here and there, but I don't think it'll ever be like the same as like. Well, it's just so hard to like, dude.
100%.
Even this year, bro, we scrim search and people just running down the middle of the map, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
Bro,
Yeah.
this whole year, I'm literally like every day I'm literally bitching in our stream, like, I hope this guy does it in a match.
Dude, we say the
I
same
hope he does it in
thing.
a match.
I
I'm
feel
just
like everyone says the same shit, bro, because everyone just tries some crazy rush, and you're like, bro, I swear no one's doing this shit. Like, people were doing the embassy hop up into top office from middle trees, and I'm like, what? Like, that is not happening.
Right,
Like,
we did see Sam try to 360 some of the sniper last year. I'll give him that.
I do
See.
I do remember that too. That was on Desert Siege, right? You got a lot of shit
Yeah.
for that. You got a lot of shit for that. That was tough. But all right, we can move on. Yeah, Ben, what do you want?
Well, I want to back up 2 years before Vanguard. I want to go talk about Black Ops 4. Chris obviously was on FaZe. They didn't qualify for the league. Sorry, Chris. And then
Thanks,
you
Ben.
went to Coach
I
Ken.
remember.
I want to talk, Ken. This is a question we got from Embarrassed on Twitter. Like, what was your favorite moment when Chris was your coach the rest of that year?
With me?
It was not a good moment. I'll tell you that. I'm not saying that it was Chris'
let's
fault.
hear it.
I'm not
Let's
saying
hear
it's
it.
Chris' fault. It was at the Red Bull Studios, Chris, when we were literally blowing up, yelling at each other, and Austin's just like, we're arguing about a frequency play about blocking the spawn. Everybody's just yelling. And keep in mind, we went to go scrim at the Red Bull Studios, and it was the most like hyperbolic time chamber place ever. You would go in during daytime, we would leave. It's nighttime. I'm like, what?
Mhm.
And like, there's one day like we're just talking about blocking spawns, and we're just screaming at each other. And even Eric, like Mud Dog's there, and we're just all yelling. And then one day, like F3, so Pharaoh, like RP my guy, I love my guy. But one day we were on Hossie, and he does like some faded play, and I remember he starts writing on the whiteboard. Like, don't ever do this again. And it's like right next to him. It's like every day we're screaming, we're just looking at F3, look at the.
I don't think I was there for this. I don't think this was. I know that you guys told me this story though. This was before I showed up because I didn't.
Oh no, this is before because F3's on the team. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
but bro,
okay.
I do wait. Bro,
Okay.
finish that story though because that story.
Okay, that's my favorite. That's my favorite part of the year. But
Yeah.
I'll tell another for Chris. But yeah, like so this one F3 is like, it was on Hossie. It was like on the statue hill, and like he's like there's 2 hallways on top Hossie, and he's on the one that's farthest from the hill. And so one day Austin's just yelling at him, and then like, don't ever go there ever again, F3. So then he writes it on the whiteboard, just randomly out of nowhere. Doesn't say a word, doesn't say he's doing it, just writes it. And everybody's like, what are you writing, bro? Like nobody writes on the whiteboard. Looks and it's like, don't ever go to this hallway on this hill. And it was the funniest thing. For us, I mean, I would say London, winning London was nuts.
Mhm.
Like it went under like what I would say winning London, like, and then like us going back, Chris, and like I think we won London without winning an S&D.
We did.
And then like we went to the the Pro League, and we won every S&D, and then won Anaheim with like an undefeated. No, we almost went undefeated S&D, but Ian decided to throw round 11
Oh my
versus
god.
and ask all of that. I was like, yo.
No, I know. I remember this map. Hold on.
Ian
hold on.
Search, bro. Dude. Oh.
I love the Ian S&D, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, bro, our team was like, and the funny thing is, our team did not start off well. Like, it didn't start off well, and I feel like, I mean, obviously,
But you figured it out. Like,
I
listen,
praise Chris
like,
for it a
obviously,
lot, bro. I praise, like, I've always said it a lot. Like, obviously, like at the time, like Austin was hothead. Like me and Austin would always argue, but I feel like when Chris came to the team, like we had way less arguments and way more agreeing, and I think that's like what allowed our team to like cherish, and also obviously like having pressure on the team
yeah, I was about to
was really good. But like I said, it got to the point where like we were just always agreeing on everything, and that like allowed us to be really good. And like I said, it happened. The switch happened we had like one day bad scrims. I remember to this day, like we played the Seaside Control or Hardpoint, and we got slammed. And also just yelling, and Chris was like yelling, and it's just like, and then we got to the point where we're just like, all right, this is what we're gonna start doing from now on. And then like everything became like smooth sailing.
I feel like we like got it down after that because I remember walking into that team, and I remember from my perspective, I was just recently we didn't qualify, but I felt like I understood how to play that game so well, and I was like, yo, like I know we just got smoked, but I know what I'm doing. I swear to God. But, I remember the reason why I want you to finish that story. I walked into that team, and that was like the first story I was told. I'm pretty sure that writing was still on the whiteboard.
It's bro. It was.
I'm pretty sure it was still on the whiteboard when I like showed up, and I think I got the story because I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, we're not allowed to enter this hallway or something." And I think like Mud Dog or someone that gave me the backstory of like, yeah, so that was the argument that basically is the reason why you're here. And I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, dude, that shit was funny. But yeah, I think winning London was like that shit was nuts. And then yeah, I think when we obviously started like all working together, there was a lot of yelling, and then once we started doing the agreeing part, I think you guys were fucking disgusting. That hardpoint run was fucking nuts for a while. That shit was crazy because you guys went from being so like talented but not on the same page, and then you guys just clicked, and everything was like a wrap from there. I also think Preston was godlike too. I feel like that shit helped.
So good. Bro,
that was
so good at that game.
No, oh my god, his fucking grab slam shit. That shit was fun as fuck to watch, bro.
Preston was pretty cracked at the game shop. He dog. One of the people that you team with over the years is Sam. Obviously, you've had quite a run with him. He obviously retired this year. Did you know before Champs he's going to retire, and just give you a platform to speak on sort of your thoughts on Sam's career and your spots and during that career?
Sam's one of my like favorite teammates. So obviously, like, I didn't know. I'm literally crying because I'm like, we just got absolutely slammed. And then Sam, and like, I'm leaving the room because like I'm not trying to cry in front of people. So, and then Sam's just like, Ken's leaving, bro. Like, I just want to let y'all know, like, I'm done. And I'm like, I gotta hit a 360. I gotta hit the turnaround, like. But like, I love Sam, bro. Like, Sam's one of like I said before, Sam's one of my favorite teammates. Me and him see eye to eye most of the time, and even then, it's like, bro, playing with Sam can be so easy because he can just like call out everything for everyone, and he's so like one thing about Sam I'll preach is he's so calm. Like during the like most heated like nerve wracking moments, is like he can just be so calm, and it's just like when you hear the calming voice, you just have to listen. And so to me, like I mean, Sam's goat, bro. Like he's one of my goats. Like I said before, I didn't know. I was super sad. I was honestly surprised. Like, I'm in my head like, there's no way. He just had to be thinking like we just got last. Like he's just thinking out his ass. Like there's no way he's like that has to be JK, right? Like I know we just got slammed, but like there's no way you go out like this. So for me, like I rate Sam so highly, and he's literally like the perfect teammate for sure.
I also feel like he came a long way too. I like when I worked with you guys, like. Don't get me wrong. When I worked with you guys, there was never anything super crazy for me to deal with. Like I feel like it was more like settling arguments between you guys. Obviously, sometimes Austin and shit, but like it was never anything crazy. And then dealing with Ian, sure. But freaking, but Sam, like Sam's communication was always good. And I remember Sam like reaching out to me when I first joined. Like he always wanted to go over like fucking like Nate spots and this and that. Like when we first joined, talking about like what we should do to get better. But like I feel like when I heard you guys in your current Thieves team, like when you guys were obviously like firing all cylinders, fucking dominant. You guys won the world championship. Like, bro, like he came such a long way from that where I was like, damn, like this guy's got his fucking teammate shit down. Like that was not that he was good on the team that I was on, but I feel like he like stepped it up like a whole nother level, honestly, to help you guys win. Like during that, I think the biggest moment I remember against Sam was when we played you guys in the finals of champs and you guys were up 4-0. And like, I was like, we were watching in the dugout. They went to a listen in. I want to say it was on Tuscan Hardpoint. And I'm pretty sure you like, I think Drazah was frying and you guys were like going crazy in the listen in. And Sam literally told like all of you guys to like take a fucking deep breath. And Sam was like, everyone fucking relax right now. Exactly. Like this shit is not over. And I remember like in the dugout, like I think I said it out loud. I was like, that's just not what I want to hear. I was like, I hope they fucking panic and they start, you know what I mean? I was like, that is not what I want to fucking hear. I was like, that is the last thing I just wanted to hear in that fucking listening. But like, yeah, no, that guy, as much as, you know, it pains me to say it because he's going to have this fucking clip somewhere, he's a fucking beast. But I still shit on him yesterday or the other day in Cold War, so we're good.
No.
Yeah, he lost to me, Ken. He lost to me in Cold War 8s, bro. But yeah, no.
I was slamming Sam in that game as well.
Maybe it just wasn't his game, bro.
I mean, bro, he's stuck in that Seattle situation.
That's
you know?
True.
Yeah, that was true. That was true. That team was something.
Yeah, they had 2 interesting years on Seattle. But enough on Sam. I have like a couple. I have one kind of question. I have a couple of community questions, and we'll get to Rostermania stuff. So, you know, this year you guys played from Los Angeles. Obviously, there's a decent amount of online Call of Duty in the CDL. What are your thoughts on playing from LA? Would you prefer playing out of Texas, or are you comfortable dealing with the challenges of LA?
So for me, the only issue with playing out of LA, and I don't know if it's like a routing issue or like with LAT or 100T or whatever, but like there's certain servers that we cannot play on because, like, for example, we have like the Denver one, which we most of the time play on. Then there's like the Salt Lake one, but for some reason we ping really highly on the Salt Lake one. But like, for example, if we scrim LAG, like they ping really low. So it's like I don't know like what's there, but I mean obviously playing out of Texas is ideal. I think it's becoming more close to being more evenly matched nowadays on like online for LA, but like there's some noticeable differences for sure. I don't think it's like that bad. I've always preached like if you can win online consistently, that means your teamwork's on point. If you're playing from a disadvantage, like a ping disadvantage, and I think that was one thing we had in our BO4 team was like if we just get it down to where like we're winning, if we're winning match or even like coming close to like losing like 5 or 10 points, like that means our teamwork's on point and we'll win on land. Like
we like never hosted scrims in that game either.
Exactly.
For that reason too.
Like we would play OpTic all the time, and like they would like slam, like they were godlike. And
the five Texas hosts on us, bro.
Bro, they were 5 Texas. They'd be like, "We'll have who do they have at the top?" They said we'll have somebody.
Oh, the guy that lived in Texas, and we're like, okay.
Yeah, they're like, the guy's Texas host. He's now a host. They were like, "Bro, you're all in Texas. Like you're still host." and so I mean that's like the biggest thing. So I feel like online can be BS, and I do understand if like, you know, like if LAT wants LA like us in LA or just and like. I don't mind it. It is kind of BS at times, but it's like I feel like the league has done some good things about like helping out LA team or West Coast teams, and I guess East Coast teams as well.
Yeah. Just finding more server locations for them to host up is obviously ideal. That's weird about the Salt Lake routing issue.
Yeah,
it's got to be some ISP thing, and that's gonna be impossible to.
I don't even think that Salt Lake server is even great for us. I mean, we never really needed to play on it. But I'm saying, like, I don't think that server is, like, there's been, even with, like, what Kenny said about the Salt Lake one, like, I just think in general, I think the Chicago server or the Ohio one always had an issue. You know what I mean? Like, I think some servers are also just, like, not.
Oh, I can go drive down the street and fix that. I'll be back on my
Please do, Ben, because I went through a year trying to scrim on that server, and after a second map, we'd have to, like, switch the server and, like, waste 10 minutes doing it. So I think some of the servers just aren't as good. I mean,
I agree.
To what you said, I've always been a big believer of like, like if you can just win online, or if you're going to lose online and it's by like 10 or 20 points and you're not host, and you know, like if you're at a disadvantage, quote unquote, like that's good. But like,
you're in a good spot.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I think they've done a good job. I just don't think, we talked about this on the last episode, that like online in general should just be as many points.
I do agree there.
Yeah.
I completely agree there. I don't think like online is weighed like as much as like it doesn't seem like that many points when you actually talk about it out loud, but it's like whenever it comes to like the end of the season, it's always like, well, this team made it because online, or this team did this because online.
They did significantly better than
And it's like they got last every event. They're like, how the hell they go into the champs? Like, and like you said, like it shouldn't be weighed that highly, and I do agree because obviously land should just mean entirely more, especially because we are guaranteed to play on land at all our tournaments now. If it was still like an OGLA year where like not OGLA, I call it OGLA year, but MW year was like half land, half online. Like I can understand where like the point system got kind of skewed or weird, but now that we're guaranteed to play on land, I feel like it should be like you should get more points, but obviously.
No, I agree. I understand like the seeding of like you have to have some way of seeding something somehow. And again, I don't think those seedings are really that far off a lot of the time, but yeah, being able to go like 4-1 or 5-0, especially with this year, is like sometimes you just had an easier schedule than other people. Like it was just kind of like odd. Like, I think there was just so many teams that got so much more points than they did like online than they did on LAN, and like it was just like that shit's like kind of criminal. I feel like if you go to an event and get top 6, and you're like not the best team, but you get top 6, that should be more than like going 5-0. Or like I don't even know the point difference, but you know my point. Like it should just matter so much more that you're showing up and getting top 4 on LAN or top 6 on LAN or something of the sort. So I definitely think that's something they need to change, because then at that time too, like you guys playing from LA, even if it was miserable, it wouldn't be the worst thing, because you can always show up and prove yourself. It would still suck, but like I think they've gotten better. I think what you said is pretty, like I think like a lot of the times they've done a pretty good job of keeping it fair. It's just always going to be hard. I mean, I'm down to bring back the Black Ops 4 LAN League. That shit was underrated.
I've been down for that.
That shit was we did not know how good we had it until
Bro,
you like
no.
look back at it. That shit was crazy, bro.
At the time, I'm like I'm in Columbus.
Yes,
And I'm
dude.
like,
Yeah, no,
I,
yeah.
I listen. I think we want to think it through. Like I could see it happening again. The only way it happens though, I think, is if like we pivot away from the Call of Duty League and back to more of a CDL thing, and they hand it off like fully to a TO that's not in house, and they have a facility. That's how we get a LAN league back. Some of the like
yeah, I see what you mean.
some of the financial like situation kind of changes. But I agree. The
That'd be
online
awesome,
COD thing
though.
is just such an issue. It's gotten a little bit better with the PC. I think they didn't have a lot of flexibility. Now they could scale servers, especially around like using consoles. But now that we're on PCs, it's gotten better over time post COVID, more server locations. But I mean, especially this year, Ken, you can speak to it. Like completely different game online to LAN, especially with Sound EQ.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I like purposely never ran it because obviously I thought I knew we were gonna be playing on land, but I definitely put myself at a full like a big disadvantage because I watch like people's streams and you can hear the EQ through the stream and I'm
It's
just
crazy.
like, wow, this is what they're playing on.
Mhm.
Like, this is why I'm actually like this is why people keep saying use it. But it's like to me, it lowered your teammates by a mile. You can't even hear your teammates half the time. I'm just like, I have to hear my teammates. Like I need to be able to hear my teammates. So it definitely was a complete like big difference this year
Well,
compared
dude,
to last ones.
you know what's crazy too? I just found this out recently, but in Warzone, like people use Sound EQ too, of course. And even in Warzone, I haven't like messed with it myself yet, but apparently you can like not only. I wonder if anyone was doing this in the league. I'm curious, like if this was a thing, or like when it became like so like apparent. But like not only could you do Sound EQ, apparently you can also like Sound EQ and then lower and higher the channels that you want specifically. I don't know how precise you can do it.
There's like some
but like
bar
you can make footsteps loud as shit and like your gun even lower. So it's like not only does that automatically do that in the Sound EQ setting, apparently you can like make that even more drastic. Bro, that is nuts. Especially like in that game with like how you can't be dead silent even like with Ninja, like or you know like while you're like running around with it. Like, dude, that shit is crazy. I wonder if like people even took it to that part. But
no,
like,
there's
that
people
is
that I can
wild.
tell you
Probably.
people did.
I mean,
I've heard it.
Yeah,
I've heard it. So
I'm
I
sure.
can tell you there's people that did. Yeah.
That's just so nuts to me that like that's like how it was played. And I mean, we went the whole year with that and then no red dots. Don't get me started. But yeah, that shit was nuts.
Trust me.
People were saying in my chat that like Pro told Brandon he was like mind blown after champs. Like now.
Yeah, I didn't. I just found out about this like a week ago. But I wonder if like people like really knew how to abuse it even more, like in depth. I'm sure. It's crazy.
Bro, the league's got to, I just think we can't have another season of this, bro. The league's got to work with the teams and figure out how to enforce Ben EQ ban during matches. You get caught out, you get points deducted. The penalties have to be super severe. Bro, this economy of different games online to LAN is bad for the product of the league. I know it creates some engagement, but it's not great for player mental. Like, I'm sure you guys feel like you're playing a fake ass fucking game. And like there are ways for the league to figure out how to enforce it, and so they need to just figure it out, bro. Like, and I agree with JP's in my chat. Just make footstep silence in CDL.
Agreed.
You would think, JP, but then you get her with the argument about, oh well, how do we do it in ranked play, or there's a difference.
No, or they hit you with the argument, oh, it's not the same game that everyone else is playing. And it's like, bro, I don't care. Please.
EQ is.
For the love of
like,
God,
come on, man. Like, yeah, but they need to figure that out next year. Chris and I are using the off season. We're doing these workshops, and we're gonna dive in on some of these issues. And
I'm doing a workshop. All right, sounds good. I'm in.
We're doing some workshops.
They tried, but it might have been like it might have been the drunkest way to try. They were just like, bro, they got to the point end of the year, they were like, yo, we're gonna randomly check EQ during matches. And there was one time like they're like, yo, Sam, we need to check. We just won first match. Like, yo, Sam, we need to do a IT check on you. They're like, wait, we just won first match.
wait, online they were doing
randomly. It would just be randomly during the match. Like you would just randomly get pulled in a match, like just to check your IT things.
Was this during Major 5 or?
I don't know. It wasn't Major 5. It was. I don't remember when it exactly was, but I know it happened for sure.
Bro, they came right after Sam. That's crazy.
And they were just checking. Yeah, I don't know if
they thought Sam was on the PEDs.
Bro, they were checking whatever. I was like, yeah, we just won first map, and they're like, yo, can we get an IT check? I was like, bro, what?
Dude, that is crazy. I'll say one thing. I feel like as the league can always do stuff better, and like that's what we always want to strive for. So like, I'm never gonna say like they're perfect. They do a good job in my opinion, but like we always want to push each other to be better and stuff. But like they also, I think it's crazy how much they try and deal with, which like they don't get support back sometimes. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like bro, they like a lot of the stuff that they deal with could just be fixed with like a slight little update, and just like I don't know, bro. Like, Ken, you know, like the Warzone mode, it's like the new map Vondel.
Yeah,
they came out with a hard point. It's called Lockdown Quads. It's basically like Warzone hard point. It's a little weird, but you know, there's red dots on the minimap in that game mode. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, bro, like it's like the league's trying to do shit with like, and then you get like that. It's like, bro, like come the fuck on, bro.
That's just
you know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, some of the shit's just crazy.
What the hell?
Yeah, I found that out today too. I was not mind blown, but I was incredibly disappointed.
Yeah,
yeah, that shit was nuts.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. This is a question we got asked a bunch. There were multiple people that asked this. Dooley was the first one to do it. You were talking about Austin earlier. Obviously, I know the tail end of that team, you know, didn't really go down the right way. Would you ever consider teaming with him again, or you know, do you still have kind of issues from back in the day?
This is the thing. I've never actually had an issue with Austin or had any beef with Austin. Like, I told this story before. I literally split from Austin just because I felt we had the worst luck together. We started team together we kept team together after BO4 and like everything that like, and it wasn't even me and him. It was nothing between me and him. It was just like everything that happened to us. It was just like out of this world. I'm just like, is it a me and Austin thing? Like, and it got to the point where it's like that Cold War year was so chalk, and I did feel bad for Austin because of what happened with the team. It's just like after that, I was like, bro, I just need like a fresh restart. I want to try a new team that like there's a new something, new environment. And like I said, I never had any issues with Austin. But I would play with Austin again. I mean, like I said, I had nothing against him. I just at the time I'm just like, bro, I want to try something new. Maybe go play back with Sam. Like, and I can't have Sam and Austin on the same team. Like we tried to do that. We actually tried to do that, and it just wasn't something that everybody wanted to do. So
okay.
Yeah. I
got one more audience question. This one's not a Fed question. This one I think is a fun one. From Pimp Cities, if you had to pick a squad of 4 for all-time favorite teammates, so I guess it's 5v5. We're making a 5v5 squad.
5v5?
Which people would you pick to fill the other 4 spots? Obviously, other than yourself.
Yeah. So I'm picking Drazah. Drazah's first round pick. Drazah. Okay, so it's 5v5. All right.
Yeah. No, actually, wait. Maybe I misread this. It's 4v4 and you're not in it. You're the coach of this team.
Oh,
4 teammates.
All right, then that's
yeah, okay.
fine.
I was like thinking of this too. I don't think it's 5v5. I think it's 4v4.
So I'll take Sam Drazah. This is everybody I've teamed with, right? Sam Drazah. Jesus.
This is tough.
This is tough. Huh.
And this is favorite teammates. This is
okay,
not...
let's just restart. Let's start Lamar. Let's go Lamar Drazah.
Okay. It's a good combo.
Kick Sam out of there, bro. Kick Sam out of there.
Sam's getting too much gas.
Damn, like, my bad, Sam.
Let's chill out real quick. Let's chill out. All right, Lamar Drazah. Let's go Lamar Drazah.
Okay.
Who have I teamed with? Jesus, I'm gonna put Ian on the squad for vibes.
Ah, okay.
Ian for vibes. Okay.
Yeah, just for vibes.
That's crazy.
And
not for gunny.
Not for skill.
Yeah, it's all good. Squad for vibes.
He had some good gunny back in the day. You know, I don't want to hate my guy.
Huh. Actually, no, we kick in. All right, let's go P Dog and Dill and Envoy. Let's go P Dog and Envoy.
Right. That's a good 5v5.
Smart choice.
Drazah, yeah, let's just do that.
That'd be a good team. That wouldn't be a bad team. Yeah.
He might be good at carrying Ian and Surge. Anyway, I think that'll do it for the question segment. As far as we're gonna move to a Rostermania piece here, Ken. So I know obviously your situation's still in flux. So if there are certain things you don't want to talk about, if you want me and Chris to carry, like let us know and we can kind of move on from that. Chris, a lot of people want to talk about this, so I'm gonna ask you this up front. You were talking earlier on stream. I guess you and we're talking with Joe, and it looks like there's been some movement around your team. Is that the case? Have you guys kind of selected a player? You don't got to say it right now on stream, but have you guys kind of start to move on to the next sort of phase of Rostermania?
I'm hoping that all this is finished within the next couple of days, to be honest with you. I mean, everyone in the chat right now that's been talking, I feel like the chat swayed like 3 or 4 times every time I've looked to the left right now of like who it's going to be. So I don't know if I'm missing something on Twitter right now with like sources and stuff being linked.
People are just baiting on the timeline right now.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't really know. But I'm hoping that it should be like figured out within the next couple of days. I think a lot of people will start figuring their shit out within the next couple of days, to be honest with you. You would hope so.
Oh yeah.
But That's about as much as I could say.
You're gonna let Tommy wants to do your team announce on a stream. Are you down for
Tommy, like Zuma,
that? Yeah.
he can do whatever he wants, man. Like, you know, like listen, I don't think I have the right to like
There you
actually
go, Paul. There
confirm
you go.
that, but like if he wants to link up with Atlanta FaZe and do their content part of it, then sure, that'd be cool. I mean, that'd be funny. I'd be.
I got a lot of people. I got a lot of people in my chat being like, "Ask Chris who it is." Chris is not going to answer that question, chat. Like
ask Chris who it is.
Yeah, because Chris is gonna leak it right here on a podcast.
Just drop it. Just drop it
right here.
Drop it and leave. Yeah.
Hey.
That would be something.
That would be nice.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of good options for your team, Chris. So I think I'm excited to see where you guys go, and I think this will. And this will kind of kick off what I think is a sort of domino effect of Rostermania, right? Your team and OpTic sort of kind of set. Those are the kind of two big destinations right now. Obviously, Thieves kind of in a situation with Sam retiring. There's a little bit of a rebuild going on there. But like that's going to kind of start the domino effect other teams. So I think we're waiting for things to kick off there. But let's talk about this rumor. And again, I don't know with your team if this is still true, but a couple of days ago, there were some people on Twitter, reputable leakers that have at times been pretty correct as far as things go. I said that, Pred and Drazah look like the two ads to OpTic. If that is their team, Shotzi, Dashi, Pred, and Drazah, I'm going to start with you, Ken. Like, what do you think of that squad? Is that a squad you don't want to face, or are you down to square up with those guys mid-map the next event?
It's me playing. No, I'm just playing. It's me playing OpTic. I'm just showing. I mean, I think the team sounds good, like on paper. Obviously, like a lot of God squads probably will be made, and I think like on paper that sounds like a insanely, really, really talented squad. And for me, I rate like people don't know, but like in terms of like knowing COD and like understanding how to play COD the fundamentally correct way, Drazah is up there. Like that's one reason I've played with Drazah for so long is because he thinks the way I think. Like anytime a clutch happens or like a play is made, like we think the same way. Like if I'm watching him playing like a clutch, he is doing what I'm thinking in my head. So I feel like for me, like if there's like one player that OpTic could get that honestly would benefit the team by a mile, it'd be Drazah, just because like I said, fundamentally he plays the game right and the guy is gross. So that's all I had to say about the team.
Yeah, I think it would be a good squad. I think, I've seen some bullshit on my chat on Twitter and on social media about, fucking Shotzi and Bruce, they don't know how to win. And I feel like that's so cap. I think if this squad happened, I think it's a really good collection of people that have like an edge. And I think the grinders, I mean, you speak to it like, especially with Draws, like, do you think that he kind of, because he's such a big grinder, that guy grinds S&E chals, grinds 8, so you think like that kind of mentality is kind of infectious on the team, and he's going to help an OpTic team that at times over the years, I mean, you talked about it, guys have talked about it with like, they're practicing on Texas hosts, just the way they sort of approach things is a little bit more passive compared to other teams. You think that's going to like, potentially that's the team obviously kind of help them sort of get to that consistent top level?
I think so. I think like I said, like his whole act, like just him being like his like him being comedic, like everything about him is infectious. To be honest, like you just want to be like around Drazah, like anytime he's like around, like you just want to be around him, and like when he's playing, like he wants to get you to play with him. Like he always wants to play with his teammates. So I feel like it could be like a really, really good thing. And like I said, he also has really good comms. That's a big thing. And I know people gas Ghosty for his comms, and I feel like I don't know if people know that about Zach. The only thing about Zach is that he stutters. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the only thing about that team that is iffy is like who takes like the backseat route and like allows the other three to go rogue. Because I don't think it's like a backseat thing in the sense of like, oh, you're the worst player on the team. It's like if you're the last like line of defense where they got to come kill you and you're still talented, that's nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel like teams should think. Like, yeah, you get the most hill time, but you're still talented enough to like 1v3 on the hill, 1v2 on the hill, like you have to. But you're giving your teammates a reign to do whatever, and if it does come down to you, you still have the talent to win the situation. I feel like a lot of teams, like I mean, a lot of times people think God squads happen, but sometimes it could be like some ego clashing, I guess, is how I see it.
Chris, what do you think about if that team squares up and forms Drazah, Shotzi, and Deshi?
I mean, that's kind of what Kenny said. I mean, obviously, I think they should be pretty good. I think everyone's question would kind of just be just like to say it again for what Kenny said, like repeat it, but literally just they have a lot of talent, and then it's just more or less like it's not like taking a back seat in the sense of, you know, oh, I'm gonna just take a back seat because I suck, but like I in order to win in Call of Duty, like, or in order to do it, like there's a theoretical world where everyone does 25% of the work and like everyone is just like picture perfect assembly line, but that's so rare. Like, bro, that's so like
rare.
If that's so like unrealistic, and like so usually it ends up someone kind of doing it more than often and just like kind of dropping their ego down a little bit and stuff. So like that would just obviously be the question mark I think people have, but on paper they should be really good. Like,
Agreed.
What are you smiling about over there, Ben?
Twitter is popping off right now.
Oh,
A lot of people speaking on the timeline. Speaking of some timeline action, this news dropped a couple of days ago via Jacob Hale. And this is kind of, we're talking about the Thieves rebuild. Envoy, as far as destination goes, looks like he's committed or in the process of fully committing to Toronto. I don't know if a lot of people would have predicted that at the beginning of Rostermania. So, Ken, obviously, your former teammates with Dylan, talk, you guys know a little bit in the beginning of this. What do you think about the potential team of Scrappy, Insight, and Kleenex? Hixie obviously not on the team, and Envoy coming in for that last spot.
I mean, the team happens for sure. I think it's insane. I think it's underrated right now in a sense of this like Rostermania if it does happen, because I think Dill is probably a perfect duo for Kleenex, because Kleenex is non-stop aggression, really talented. He can pop a piece or two. I just think they need like a slower sub who obviously like knows how to play the game once again, and flanks a lot, I guess, is Dill. But I think overall I feel like that team can be really good, and I also think like in like fitting a team environment, like their comms are really like calm and collected and like slow, and I think Dill fits into that category as a person. So I mean, if it does happen, I think the team is underratedly really good. Like super good.
I think they should be really good too, to be honest with you. I feel like if that's the move, like I feel like that's going to be a really solid team. I think Envoy is like I was saying it, I don't know if you would agree with this, Ken. I think we were talking with Sam a little bit. I feel like Envoy is like the one sub that's like, he can do like a little bit of everything. Like he can push out and be aggressive if needed. He can also get heal time if needed. He can be smart if needed. He can rotate if needed. Like, I feel like he's like a really underratedly smart player when it comes to like stuff like that. Like a lot of subs have like that one mode that just like what you kind of said with Kleenex, it just fucking goes. And like that's super necessary. It's needed to win, and like it's super important. But I feel like Dylan does like a little bit of everything.
He just needs somebody to all set him, so so they just work well on the map together.
So I feel like that could work. Yeah.
Dill, for sure. Dill's thinking off spawn. Like there's a lot of players I will say that ain't thinking off spawn.
He looks up left and he's like, I'm gonna do this. Like, yeah.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah, no. That's what Sam. I think Sam said he's like the most dynamic sub in the league. I think it was the term he used. But yeah, I feel like Dylan's super underrated when it comes to like that too. He doesn't just see red and go forward. Like I feel like he thinks a lot to like there's a method to like the way he plays a lot. And I feel like that's why I think when he's on, it's like he finds himself with a lot of success.
Hey, when we're a team and he is always bringing up like, we just need to look at the bigger picture. We should look at the bigger picture. Like that was his thing.
That's
I
awesome.
mean,
yeah,
for sure.
People in his role to hear that, that's pretty cool, because a lot of people in his role are the total opposite of that. So
yeah, I agree with that. So I'm listen. I feel for Charlie because I think he came in and instantly they won and they were pretty good. They've been pretty good. I mean, Toronto's been pretty good all year.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think they got smoked on Sunday, and I think there was always going to be potentially a change after that. So I think this is Toronto upgrading, and I'm excited to see what Dylan can do with that team because I think they were great this year, and this will only improve them a little bit more skill. This is an interesting one. I didn't think that this next thing was going to be a real threat in the offseason, and I'm going to start with you, Chris, on this one. Again, if you don't want to speak on this too much, the New York contract situation. There's been a lot of chatter on Twitter about some stuff going on with Kismet's contract or Preston's contract, the Caprista. Obviously, the team just won champs. You would think that they're going to stick together, but it sounds like from some of the people on Twitter and also confirmed from Jacob Hale that there's some contract renegotiation going on with that squad. I don't think there's an expectation anyone's going to break up, but there's a little bit of trouble in paradise. I don't know if you've heard anything, Chris, or if you think this is just kind of like what may normally happen with some teams after champs, that there's just a realignment in things, and it's just kind of spun out into the public.
I mean, I feel like when you win champs, a lot of the time you're on top of the world. You don't want to break up right away. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I feel like they definitely don't want to like just like split apart and like go their own separate ways. But like there's just like kind of two ways to look about it too. It's like, you know, if this is I don't know the contract situation for you said Kismet or like Preston or any of these guys, but like if you just did win champs and like you obviously want to re-sign or like, you know, sign back, like you also want to make sure like this is a good opportunity for you to find like a good contract and stuff too. And like, you know, you don't want to obviously just settle because of that, depending. Or it's like New York's in the other situation too, where it's like they did just have an incredible year, like one of the best years you can really ever have. It's like, but do they also want to make a change weirdly enough too? Like you just never know, like what, because there's so many good people available. So it's like, I feel like it kind of just comes down to just what New York behind the scenes is looking to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't really know exactly, like it's so hard to tell not knowing like what their plan is, but like, yeah, I think it would be crazy to split up after the year they just had. But at the same time, like, I guess it just depends on like what the numbers are with certain contracts and then like what, you know, what the situation is and the vibes and everything else like that too. There's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that like sometimes you don't know. But I truly don't have too much insight on it, so it's like kind of hard for me to tell. It's really just depends on what direction like they're trying to go from both player side and also management side, like what they're really trying to do.
Yeah.
Ken, what do you think?
I mean, I'm on the same fence. I feel like it's insane because obviously, like it's so easy to say like a team that wins champs just stays together, like, and like obviously the thing is like you win champs, you think you deserve more money, like stuff like that is just like I feel like it's like the norm, like it's just like, oh, we won, like we're the world champions, we deserve more money. It's like I feel like there's a lot of times where like you want to upgrade, like you think you can upgrade. Maybe there's something like during the season, like y'all were looking to like make a swap anyways, like but then y'all eventually just became godlike.
Mhm.
It's like in the back of your head after the season ends, like, well, we have an option to actually get the person that we were thinking, but do we change because we just absolutely slammed the end of the year, had one of the greatest CDL years, and I feel like for me, I can't see a world where they do change. So
Yeah.
I'm really hoping they stay together because I feel like I as a viewer enjoy the squad. I feel like they have like a pretty hype squad, pretty fun squad to watch, and um, I'm hoping that they do get to sit together because they're world champions, and I think breaking up world champions, like the world champions, is not, like they have to give a chance, like a
It's
chance
only
next
right.
year. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
right to like give it another chance next year to like win another year. Like I feel like that just goes without saying, but at the same time, you really can't speak for what people want as individuals.
Yeah. And also,
I
like,
mean, the
no
only-
team's done back-to-back champs years, right?
Yeah.
Like, and like the closest team I think was that MV team, right? When they won and then got second in IW.
Yeah.
And like,
IW.
yeah, and like that's my thing. It's like obviously there's a world where they stick together and they don't even make it to then because things go wrong. Like you can't just like you can't just ride on an entire year to go for that second back-to-back. But like if they're doing well and they go for it, like yeah, I feel like it's only right to like almost go for that. But kind of what Kenny said, it's like yeah, you don't really know. Like if there's a world where they were thinking about making a change before they like turned up again at the end of the season, and yeah, now they win. But like, yeah, they won, but like now X, Y, and Z is available. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like business is yeah, there's so much to it. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't really I guess if we knew what they were really feeling during the time they were kind of struggling a little bit, would help out more. But yeah, I feel like
For sure.
kind of gotta just wait and see.
Mhm.
I do
Yeah,
want to see
think
them
it's,
stick though. Sorry, I do want to see them stick. I will say that.
I
too.
agree. I want to see them stick. I mean, it was really unfortunate if a team won champs and broke up because contract stuff. Is equal.
Bless you.
I
Bless
had to
you.
sneeze. That was
That was
crazy.
a nutty
Oh my god,
sneeze.
that was
Damn.
wild, bro.
That one hit.
I was like, holy shit. Anyway,
I was like, that's right,
apologies, audio listeners are just about to hear my sneeze. Before I was sneezing, what I was about to say is it'd be tough if they broke up because they fumbled a contract renegotiation. Players are like, oh, like OpTic's got a roster spot, FaZe got a roster spot. I'm gonna dip because it's a bigger org than New York. Like that would really suck. I want to see this team run it back. Now the difficulty is, I think both of you guys know because you've either been in situations where your team won champs or you were a coach. That like finding that new motivational source is difficult. The New York team had a big chip on their shoulder this year for the most part. Like people thought they sucked. People thought all New York's gonna have drama just like last year. And Preston, he's washed after Modern Warfare. Hydra's not gonna live up to the size of his contract. Like, is Sky's good? Like, he's good stats, bad stats, good stats on a bad team on Florida, and all those guys had different motivational things this year. Oh, Troy got dropped from OpTic. Maybe he's not a good coach. D-Real said some dumb shit on the flank. Like, they all as a group had motivation. I think they've fallen that into a real positive mindset this year, but they got to figure out how to find a new source to tap into now that they're the team that everybody's trying to beat. And they're the team that everybody wants that scalp because they're the former champions. So I'm curious to see what happens if they stick. But we'll move on. We got more teams to talk about. We're not going to talk about every franchise because there are teams like Minnesota. We don't know what the fuck's going on there. Vegas, and like fucking London, But we have three more I want to talk about. First one I want to talk about Seattle Surge. There were some rumors on Twitter yesterday that they have had some discussions or in the process of maybe exploring Rambo Ray coming in because Sam Phoenix tweeted out a couple days ago that he's no longer the coach of the team. His contract ran out. Brevin as well, who is the GM, also has contract run out. So it's a bit of a clean situation in Seattle. And there's some rumors on Twitter that it might be Rambo and potentially the Awababob squad. So if you have not been following challengers this year, that was the Brazilians Cobra Abusa team. They were really good. They broke up for a second, and they got back together. They didn't have the best endings for the year. I think they got 6th at champs, but their team was pretty good. So I'm curious what you guys think potentially about a mixed French-Belgian squad joining this Seattle rumored Vancouver team with Rambo Ray coaching them in French. Pretty wild. What do you think, Ken?
I think it's interesting because, I mean, obviously, I've heard about these guys, and apparently they're gross. It's always just weird for me because I feel like I do think like challenger players should get their chance in the league. It's just like I guess it's better for a whole challenger team to come in because I feel like the weird thing is like when you have like one player that's probably the dynasty player for that team and like a full challenger squad comes in, it's kind of hard to like mesh well with that team. So I feel like it could be a really, really good spot because, well, I think the only thing is I don't know how like Rambo's coaching ways are or however he thinks, but I feel like if they can get on the same page, it could be good for the league because obviously a good challengers team in the league could show some life for, I guess, a lot of teams on making changes on like actually picking up challenger people and not like, leftovers, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always thought. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I know. The thought just came to my head with like them though. It's like I feel like with what Kenny said, it's like, dude, some of the rosters in the CDL in general, not just this year, that have been formed, have also been criminal. Like some of them have just been criminal. Like just really stupid, doesn't make any sense. So it's like I feel like going this route, depending on how much they want to spend and et cetera, et cetera. Again, Rambo is obviously coaching style, depending on how he's going to mesh with them. That's like a huge question mark. I feel like more of this is just like these guys have been rumored to be God, like Abusa. I feel like I've heard his name so many times. Like I do think this might. I could be so wrong here in a couple months. Like season starts up and they might just not be that good. But like I feel like almost going this route, if this is the route you're trying to go, if you're Seattle, like not going for like, big superstar names and filling this like crazy roster and spending a bunch of money, like I do think like this might actually be better than some of the ways people have formed together like that last second roster. I feel like some of those last second rosters that have been formed have just made no fucking sense. And then like at the end of the day, I would like to think that a team of challengers are going to be way more motivated to prove people wrong, to practice, to really try and get there, where I feel like sometimes some of the pros that get picked up as like a last second option on like one of these like lesser teams that aren't meant to do well, like I feel like since they've been around for longer, they almost know what team they're dealing with and like they almost kind of check out before it even happens. Like, I feel like a lot of these guys like know their team's not going to be that good and just like shit hits the fan so quickly. I feel like every season there's like 3 teams at least that like immediately start on a downward path and just never. It's just like everyone on that team just doesn't even have like the mental to like reset it. Sometimes Vegas actually like turned it around, which was cool to see, and like they actually made a really good run, which is dope. But like I don't know, I feel like this might be actually a pretty good direction to go down, but I don't really know.
I forgot.
I don't know.
I did an interview with somebody and like people were just saying like, why do you think like challengers people like that join a team it's like instantly chalked? I'm like, because I feel like teams don't like look into it as like they don't really know the person. You're just
Mhm.
pulling this person in from challengers to get kills because their stats are so good in
Yeah, their
challengers.
stats. Yeah.
It's like they don't even mesh well with any of y'all. They don't even like care to be on the team. They are just in a spot in the league. Like at least like a team of 4 that have already been teaming together have been
Mhm.
I don't know how good they are if they were winning together, but they're at least a team that like wants to play with each other. Like you at least get 4 people that have been on the same page playing together. They know how each other thinks. They know each other. Can be really really good. And I feel like it's better than like keeping one person and than like splitting up that team because you want 3 of them. Like I feel like it could be a good opportunity for them. Um, and I mean, I hope it goes well
Well,
because I feel like the league kind of needs something like that. It's like a
yeah.
reset button for all the players in the
Yeah.
league.
Yeah. That'd
We've
be dope. What?
me and we talked about this on the flank because a couple of times this year. I mean, I'll give you the backstory. Is like we do an episode after a day, and it's like, bro, we're tired of watching fucking London make a roster change and go 0-5 every split. Like we're just like these matches are boring. Then Chris made the point of this. Is like, bro, next year teams end up in a situation where you're starting over. It's like you could either do the leftovers team, and the success rate of that is not very good, or you can pick up a full challengers team. Maybe you drop one person and bring in like a pro. I think kind of LAG basically that's how they did their sort of reboot in the middle of the season last year. And you kind of run from there and see who sticks. So I kind of like this. You know, the Wobble Bobs team in challenges here was very good. They did win the event in Toronto, and I think they played pretty good at the other 3 LAN events, if I remember correctly. They got 6 at champs, and they got 6 at another event, and they got like top 30, I think, at the other. So like they placed no worse than top 6 last year in
Yeah,
challengers, and they won the event. I think they were a very good squad. Um, and I like a lot of the players on that team. Obviously, Abuza gets a lot of the credit because I think he drops bombs in challengers, but all the other guys have also fought at times this year, both online and land. So this is a very interesting route if Seattle goes down this. And I'm curious how it would work out. It'd be a big chance for those guys.
yeah,
But there's also the other side to it too, especially with this squad. It's like if we get a full French speaking squad in the CDL, that's another market we really haven't tapped into recently. There's
exactly.
always been a history of French players in COD going back to the pre-CDL days with like Gotaga, the SWCs, the Vitalities of the world. And I think those teams were interesting. They weren't always like top 3 teams, but there was passion in that market. I know Gotaga retired. He became a super mega influencer. So the French COD scene has sort of died for a second, but these guys are kind of bringing it back. And I'd be very excited to see some or all of these guys really get a chance in the CDL. And obviously Paco, someone in my point made full French team and the Hydra has faded. Well, Paco's on a team that's just one
Yeah,
champ.
I'll say I don't think they're
Luck with
going
that.
and getting Paco right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
tough.
That's Paco's locked down on New York, bro. He's set.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have an Mbappe situation. Cool. Well, let's move on. There's another. We're talking about English speaking players kind of spots going out for some more foreign players. This one's been rumored since like the spring. The situation with Florida that supposedly they're going to merge with Team Heretics, which is a big Spanish speaking organization. They're very large globally in the Spanish speaking world. And they were being rebranded to become the Miami Heretics and bring in a full Spanish squad, including Vickle is still on the roster. They picked up his option
Yeah,
from the past season. They did some baiting on Twitter today. They changed their bio to all Spanish. If you go to their link in their bio, it's like an Amazon wish list, and you click on it. It's got like the 3 things are hilarious. It's a Team Heretics book. It's sun tan lotion. In fact, 75 SPF suntan lotion, and like a best of Pitbull CD or something like that. So they're really they're really leaning into it. So it seems like this Miami Heretics thing's gonna happen. Gonna start with you, Chris. What do you think about sort of the rumored Spanish team coming in for the Florida squad led by your rank play guy Vickle?
I mean, kind of the same thing I said about Seattle. I think that a roster like this is worth looking at because you'll have a team that's more motivated with the passion, with a good like teamwork, like the good team environment to start that has like a better chance of like making that long run. I just feel like some of the lesser teams in the CDL for these last 4 years have just been like so chalked from the beginning. And I think teams like this will have a much better attitude towards it. And I know there was a few of the Heretics guys in Black Ops 4 that were actually pretty damn good. They just kind of they got kind of screwed over. They didn't have a fully like equipped team in the sense to like compete with the top guys at that time. But I think now is a little different, and I think if they get their chance, like they have the potential. Again, I don't know what their ceiling is. I don't know them enough to know what their ceiling is at the moment. But I think their floor will be higher than some of the stuff that we've seen recently. So I don't think it's a bad call at all, to be honest. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. But yeah, I think a lot of those guys are better than people think. And then the better practice they get, I think they should be pretty good. But we'll see how they kind of mesh.
I think it's like
what do you
I
think?
was saying. It's like the only thing for me is like I don't know how their team was or who was on the Heretics team, but like if they were a team of 4 who wanted to keep the 4, I feel like it's weird that if like if Florida obviously wants to keep Vickle and then drop one of them, unless they were like okay with it, if that makes sense. Like like I said, the other team, like the French team, is coming in as their team of 4, and there's no other player. There's literally their team, and I feel like it could end well for Florida if they do it, because obviously Vickle might be an upgrade for what they had if they think that way. But if they're just trying to get into the league, I feel like it could be bad, because I think at the end of the year, like last year, Vickle was like he turned up and was frying. So I feel like it can be really good for them. If the Heretics team is like, I mean, obviously they got to be down to do it. I just don't know like how their team before was before, because like I said, I don't really agree with breaking up the full team. I mean, breaking up the team just for one player is what I'm saying, because I feel like teams need to be able to like have chemistry and stick, and I feel like that flows way better in a team environment than like splitting one player, unless like everybody's in agreement to it.
Yeah, I wonder how like if there was like a weak link on that team. You were saying if there was a weak link.
That's what I'm saying. Like the team thinks there's a weak link, and their upgrade is
like this is a guarantee upgrade. Like we're getting Vickle for this guy, and we're already nasty. Like I get that for sure. Yeah, I don't know enough about that to like know, but I feel like that's
Well, this seems interesting. So the rumored this is a rumored squad from April. I don't know if it's changed, Chad. If anyone's got better information, let us know. It's Vickle, Journey. Obviously, Chris used to be part of your organization, LAT FaZe. Metals, Eric Boom, and Lucky. Metals and Eric Boom teamed this year on Team Notorious. I think Vickle's teamed with Eric before. I don't remember if he's teamed with Metals before. I mean, I can look it up. And maybe it was online at some point. Juan's obviously been around for fucking forever. He was on that the Heretic squad that was absolute. I mean, maybe you can speak to this, Ken. Like we've had Spanish teams in the CWL before. Heretics in Black Ops 4 was
they were on the solid team for a long time. They were like I think like 7 or 8-0 or something like that. Not to gas ourselves, but we were the first team to beat them. We were the first team to beat them, I'm pretty sure. So I'll say a lot about them, because I think at the time, like everybody was surprised, because it obviously was like people don't really. I would say it's like a normal thing to have like obviously like a full Spanish team in the league at the time, and everybody was like, "What the like? These guys had to be trash." And they came in, they were frying, like they were slamming, and their pace was like out of this world. And I think that's one thing that like people do when they come to the league is like they slow down. If a team like them don't slow down, I feel like it can be really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think if that's the rumored squad and supposedly like maybe Metal's not on it, Real is maybe on it. I think the key things are players like Vickle, who's lived here for a while, who's in CDL this year, Juan, who's been in the US for stretches at a time, like working with Metals and Eric, who probably never spent a whole 6 months here, 7 months here to deal with the culture difference is really key. Because I agree with you, like we've seen in the past how this works with some foreign teams. The CWL, like there were European teams that came over, they got slammed in practice and couldn't keep up the grind, and they just kind of gave up. But we saw what Mindfreak did. Mindfreak came over, they were getting slammed, and they got way better by the end. And I know they weren't good enough then to like win, but they got way better because of the practice. And the same thing with Heretics. They came over here and started adapting certain things to the NA playstyle Black Ops 4, and that's why they were pretty solid. So if this squad comes together, like I'm very curious to how they play. The other big thing with this squad, and we talked about this in the last episode, is we're gonna get a big Spanish language presence now. Whenever these guys play, you're gonna see a lot of fans turn up and support this guy. The Vamoses are gonna be in chat. Getting new fans invested, especially non-North American fans, or maybe people that are Spanish speaking in North America that haven't been following the CDL and they're gonna care about these guys. I think getting those new fans is really key in a different perspective, and I think like makes for a better culture. It's also going to make Twitter toxic at times, but fuck it, that'll be entertaining. So
that's what you need, though. That's like the more of that, the better for the scene. Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's really true. Like that's just going to be so much better. So
Yeah.
I'm
No,
excited.
it's gonna be good. I'm excited to see what happens. I think we're gonna get some news. It seems like things are starting to, move there. So
Mhm.
we shall see what happens. Last Rostermania question, or topic, and then we'll go to chat questions. So there's a squad that was rumored. It's sort of like one of those situations where players have been released from teams, and a bunch of players are kind of like collecting together with the goal to get all picked up by an organization. We've seen this before. So this is a team that's been floated. And I want to start with you, Chris. Your thoughts on this team?
Yeah.
Honest thoughts. Honest. I don't want to no political bullshit. I want your honest, real thoughts on the squad.
Jesus, Ben.
Hook,
Oh my God.
Illy and Wake as your
Fez?
ARs, and then who can Standy? What are your thoughts on if that team were to say get picked up by a Minnesota or a Seattle?
I mean, to be completely honest, if they got picked up by probably like Minnesota, this could be an absolute disaster, or it could work out really well. Like, there's a weird. Illy would probably be like the leader type role, right?
Yeah.
Which would be nice. Illy's a huge question mark, though, to be completely honest with you. Not because of his talent in general, but I think just the way he went out in the Vanguard season with his hand, and I don't think we ever, or maybe I just don't know. I could be obviously not educated fully on this, but like, I don't know if he ever fully recovered. Was it a recovery that was needed? Like, I don't know what really happened with that.
He said
so,
fucking nothing. That's part of the issue.
So I feel like that's a huge question mark on him. If it's like Illy, healthy Illy that we all know can be playing well, okay. And then Hook is the same thing. I feel like he's a wild card player. I do think Hook is really good. I think he has a very impactful play style, but at the same time, like, you kind of live or die by him the way he plays. So it's like another player who's good, and he'll apply the pressure and do all the stuff that's needed, but also there's like, sometimes a question mark with him as on how he plays. And then like Wake is like the biggest anomaly for me. I think Wake's really good. I actually do think he's really, really good. We've watched him scrim. I've watched him scrim against my team for a while. I feel like in matches sometimes he slows down a little bit.
Down a little too
and,
much. Yeah.
And I feel like when I watch him scrim, I think this kid's got so much talent. I think he's really, really good. I think when I watch him, I'm like, this guy shoots with the best. Like, he is a really good player, and I feel like sometimes he slows down almost too much. And like, I think if he works on that part of his game, it'd be really good for him. Again, that's just from like being like speculating from the outside in. And then Standy is like also the same thing. Like, I think Standy is good at the role he plays, but sometimes I feel like the way he like gets pushed out and stuff too can like be like just like questionable at times. But again, I do think Standy on this team would be really good. So like, this team in general is just like a huge question mark, but I think they could be really good, to be honest with you. And like, I think like this would be a good time for all four of them to like further themselves as players, like in this part of their career. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think like they would have no one else to really rely on to like help them. Even like Standy on Vegas this year, and obviously he was on Toronto, but like, you had a lot of like even like veterans on that team and stuff to help you like kind of learn stuff here and there. But like, I think all of these guys like can really prove a lot wrong, but I also could see this being a disaster. So it's like I'm more on the fence, but I would lean on the side that they would be probably better though. I don't think this would be like, I don't think they would hit their floor. I just don't know if they would fully hit their ceiling, but I think they would be better than expected, to be honest with you. Unless like they just don't get along and they all hate each other. But I think like on paper they might be better than expected. But because there's a lot of talent on the team, it's just like, would this talent mesh? Because it's an interesting role from all of them. What do you think, Ken?
I agree. I think if you like, my honest opinion from just hearing the team, it's a really good script team.
Yeah.
I'm not roasting them in a sense of like they are ass at matches. I just think like if they can put together how they're going to play in scrims, and I know they're going to be good at scrims in matches, I feel like they could be a top contender or be a good team, because I feel like you said, Wake's pacing or just his in general how he plays the scrims is not like, there's a clip that we have that we clipped it one day where he literally like won his team of control like by himself, just like smoking us, and it was just like a joke that we had, because he like to end it off, he ended up like knifing me or something like that, and I'm just like, oh my god, this guy is insane. He's insane. And then you like watch like the matches, and he's like 10-10, and it's like 2-1. Like
you're like, how?
Like, I'm like, bro, how? Like, and I know how good Wake can be. It's like if they can put it together in matches, I feel like they can be a really good team, because once again, I feel like all of them, and like you said, live and die by Kyler. Like, Kyler is gonna set pace. He's gonna set pace, and if they can keep up with him in matches, I feel like it could be a really good team. And I feel like Ender definitely has really good comps. I feel like Ender's like gas that he gives. Like, his random just gases can be good for this team's like confidence. So
Yeah, he's got good energy for sure.
overall, I feel like I said, if they can put it together, how they're gonna do in practice, I feel like can be good.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing will be their consistency. Like if this team were to form, their consistency would be their biggest issue. And if like they formed and figured that out, and like I do think Wake has, again, what Kenny said is kind of true. Like if he plays more of that pace, the Wake that you see more like sometimes when he's playing a little bit more free,
yeah,
it could be nasty. And if Illy's healthy, there's like just so many factors that goes into this. But I think all four of them kind of have like this one thing about them that if they could like get a little bit better in that category, as everyone can always like grow and get better and stuff, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they would be nasty. So I think this would be a really good opportunity for all of them to like, you know, put the right foot forward and like kind of to try to prove people wrong, to be honest, and be good, because there's a lot of potential there for sure. It would just be that consistent factor. I would love to watch that team though. I hope that happens, because I would love to watch that team, because it would just be so interesting to see, because they definitely have a lot.
You wouldn't be mindful of that team just outslaying a team by like a thousand. Like it would be, you know what I mean?
Just
like
running circles.
Just run through like run circles around a team. So
yeah,
they could be really good, and then like you said, they could also just be a disaster where it's just chalk.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I think it's probably gonna be a disaster. I look at this team. I actually really like the AR combination. I somehow think in a weird way that like Illy Wake AR duo is actually like not that bad. I think the sub situation with like Kyler and Eli is just, I don't know, like the way that they both play. Eli's like a little bit slower, kind of like very corner campy, like sort of waits for stuff to come to him. And Kyler is like a pure adrenaline. It's just a really weird combination. And I feel like if Kyler's not setting pace and he's getting smoked, or Eli's having a bad game, like they're going to get exposed. I feel like the team would have weird practice. Like I don't know, it'd be a little sketchy. So
I agree.
it's listen, and just to explain, chat, like this happens all the time. Like teams form in this situation and try and get on rosters, and I think this is one you're hearing. It's kind of being shopped around. So curious to see what happens. We do have some breaking news on the timeline. Chris, we do not need to. You can no comment this if you want.
Oh God!
But we have to address this because my chat's going crazy. Your chat's going crazy. We have a Jacob Hale tweet. Just hit the timeline live. Yeah. Source says Drazah made his decision today and wants to join Atlanta FaZe over OpTic Texas. Chris, do you have any comment on the news on the timeline?
I mean, that just all dropped as I've been doing a podcast with you for the last hour and a half, 2 hours. So yeah, no comment. Dude, I've been talking to you guys. I haven't been in the calls, so I have no idea. But yes, Ken, there you go.
I mean, I think
thanks, Chris. Ken, what are your thoughts?
I think it's the God Squad. Like I said, I rate Zach super highly. Love the kid. Like, I think wherever he goes, like it's a W, because I've been there since the OGLA days, and I feel like Zach has grown to be, honestly, a staple in the league. So I feel like the squad's just gross, and I think, like I said, fundamentally, like you don't have to worry about his fundamentals, and he brings a lot to the table: grinding, passion, like all that. So, I mean, I don't got nothing else to say, but that's a pretty good. That's a God Squad, realistically.
Well, let's do winners and losers. Winners, I think this is a great squad for FaZe. You know, we've talked a lot about the issue with MC and Austin, and sort of they're great players, but I think this season, and you talked about it, Chris, like, you know, just tough to have two slow kind of ARs. So Drazah's going to play with pace. Drazah's going to be S&D first. Drazah's going to be a grinder. It checks a lot of boxes that I know that Chris kind of expects from his squad. And I think, you know, this is a great addition to them. I think losers is OpTic was obviously rumored to get Drazah. So now they're going to need to sort of decide what's going to be next if he's picked. So I'm really curious between players like Dante, maybe Dan Ghosty, maybe they try and steal Preston from the situation out of New York. Like, I'm very curious to see what OpTic does next now. They try and get scrappy. I don't know. You know who's actually probably the biggest loser in this all, though? Jetski, aka Fernando, gonna have to apologize to Drazah, so that's gonna be really funny. I'm excited to see that one.
That was the last thing I was expecting Ben to say right there. What the hell? I was trying to predict anything that Ben was about to say when he said that, and like everything that was running through my head, I'm like, what the fuck is Ben about to say, dude? Okay.
I was like, wait.
I tried to throw you a curveball there, but no, I'm actually very curious just on the OpTic side, just to talk about it for a second. So obviously they're going to get pred. I think that's probably locked. They basically have two options here. Do they get a straight up flex player and they keep all the roles, or do they move Shotzi to a flex and pick up a sub player? I think it's probably the first one, just because with Envoy going to Toronto, I just don't. I think the options on the flex side are probably a little bit better as far as what they're looking for as compared to the second sub side. So,
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Ken, who do you think, like, if your OpTic right now on your team is Pred, Shotzi, and Dashy, like, who are you picking up as your fourth?
Mm, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't have a comment on that one. I don't have
Okay.
anything to say on that one. I think the take of putting Shotzi on a flex is faded though.
I
I
agree.
don't you ever want to put that guy on a flex.
Well,
So
sorry to cut you off, Ken, because this is
No,
a
you're
question
good,
for
Ken.
you. I was in
Mhm.
my chat earlier playing Warzone. I think
Yeah.
it was today, or maybe it was yesterday. Chat, I'm sure some of you guys are in here. Maybe you know better than me because I was losing full. I was arguing with someone in my chat about how Shotzi's not a top tier sub.
Okay.
I was saying he is. I'm saying he's good.
No, Pat started this
Bro,
bullshit, bro.
I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know where this started, but like,
Yeah.
so like, kind of what you were just talking about with the take and stuff. Like, people were trying to convince me that like Shotzi's like not that good,
Not a
and
top sub.
not a top
That's
sub. Yeah.
Listen, this is my thing. I think people obviously look at stats and
Mhm.
you got good stats, you're good. You got bad stats, you're bad. Tachi's the type of player that he will win you the game by a mile. I do think he has tendencies to like sometimes maybe like go rogue. Like
That's
I think there
fair.
was one match versus us where like the fortress control where
When
he
he
went rogue.
pushed out
And,
the
like,
back door.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like something like that is just like something like that happen. Like you're just in the moment, it happens. But I'm like Shotzi's gross. That guy's insane. Like I remember to this day, like I remember in Vanguard where we played them on Berlin Hardpoint and he literally won the game on his own. His teammates, I'm not saying they didn't do anything, but he like there was a whole like 2 minutes or two hills back to back where we are just only calling him out and he was just like
You just couldn't find him.
frying us. Yeah, he's just frying us. And I feel like
Yeah.
bro, a guy like that on your team can make things like super, super easy. And like I feel like for me, like I don't know how good his comms are, but if his comms are like really, really good, I feel like a play like that just frees up the map so much for a team. And I feel like
Yeah.
people like that are so easy to play with.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to say. Is like, bro, like, obviously, was he the best sub in the game this year? Probably not. There's like, but like again, like I think Hydra kind of, like Hydra obviously made a really good run. Like, but I was just trying to say, like, yeah, like, bro, people just like look at stats, but like even Shotzi stats and shit, it was just so weird to me. Like the way I swear, like the way people think, like I feel like Rostermania shows you how much like people just be bullshitting sometimes, bro. Like, like you know what I mean? Like I was just trying to like say like, yeah, like some certain people's, even if like Shotzi did have like a 0.95, which he didn't, he had a way better than that. Like, bro, his 0.95 is more impactful than a lot of others. Yeah, that's like you know what I mean. Like this, the way people play COD and what they do and how they play and everything else. Like, yeah, there's just so much to it. But yeah, no, it was just funny because the flex comment that Ben said, and then like you said that, like that's reminded me of that comment. And I was just like, bro, I swear, like people.
You
be
keep that
tweaking,
guy on
bro.
the sub, bro.
I don't get. I mean, bro, players can have a bad season. I think obviously think of the things they had to deal with this season, bro. Like they ran back their squad from last year that they shouldn't have, and then they made a roster change. They tried to get Pred, they couldn't get Pred. Fucking his sub duo were tired. Collar was like their second option. He had to figure it out with him, and obviously they were good, but they weren't great. So like he's obviously been going through it, trying to adjust to all that. And like he hasn't played bad, but it hasn't been 1-2s like we saw once he got taken off of Trophy Smoke and Modern Warfare 2019. So
Yeah.
I still think Ant's a top sub. I think
How bad was their season though? Because
not that bad.
They were in. I don't think I understand. Like obviously, I mean, I guess Chris. I don't know if how it went for Chris and them, but bro, they were insane in scrim. Like they were god tier in scrims. When I say like untouchable, like if for us, like it was, bro, we went like 40. Like I don't even know like how many maps straight of just not winning a map versus them. And like I think their issues is like they just like I don't know what happened on land. I'm not gonna say people got nervous, but maybe there was a little nerves to it. Like I just feel like one thing for sure that went under the radar is that Kyler was playing like Kyler for the longest time, and maybe it was an online thing or not, but Kyler was putting up some insane stats. So I feel like their year wasn't that bad. They just needed to put it together for an event, and they did for most of the time. They just I'm not saying like they broke down, but like they got 2 seconds, and I feel like that's just like something that comes down to like clutch factor and just like understanding like the nervousness of like playing on a LAN match like in front of a crowd. I feel like that was like their biggest thing. I don't think they had a bad year. They got 2 seconds. Like that's not bad. I don't think that's bad at all. I wouldn't count as an L year, especially for a year that like you probably didn't even expect it to go that well. And you're picking up a challenger kid, and he makes your team way better. I feel like for me, it's like I have a different opinion on them because they were untouchable for a long time. We beat them on land, but we thought it was gonna be like the hardest match of our lives, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like you had their number in matches, but like we didn't really scrim them we didn't scrim them too much until the end of the year, but we played them pretty well in scrims at the end of the year. Not like anything crazy, but like we played them well, like leading in the champs. But like just in general, yeah, like I feel like they were great. You know what I mean? Like kind of like I don't know. I don't think they had. I mean, I know you didn't win and you want to win and everything else, but like I don't think it was like some sort of tragedy. Like, dude, they were by far, in my opinion, the best hardpoint team in the game for a while.
Oh, bro.
Like probably even leading up to the end, like they were fucking gross.
They were nuts. They were nuts, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want to say people were nervous because you'll never know if somebody's nervous, but it's like that's like the first thing people like think of because like how are you online dominant and in LAN not like you know what I mean like things like that. And it's like there is some online to it, but it's like bro, like you said, in hardpoint, like they just got like you can just tell like they knew the game and like how they played was just in a sense to me like how I want to play was how they play was abnormal. Like to me it was like some fade away to play.
No, they
But
were all over
really
the map. Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
but they had it
really
down.
good at it.
Yeah, they had it down to
a T.
their science was like whatever they were doing. Like yeah, they had that shit down.
Just go.
Like,
yeah, it was just like just go. So it's like to me it's like it was kind of faded, but I'm like they're really good at doing this. Like I don't know how, but
yeah,
they were really good.
And I agree. I think also a big thing for them is like they never like got a lockdown control map either.
That is true.
Like I think that's like really important for like best of fives, obviously the finals. It's like having those lockdown controls were good. And like I'm just looking at their stats now, just like kind of going through it. From stage 4 and on, they were 4-3 in all 3 controls. So like they just never had like a dominant. But in hardpoint, they were 7-1 in hotel. They were 7-2 in Mercado. They're 5-2 in Fortress, and those 2 losses were at the end. You know what I mean? They were basically 5-0. Like they had like those bread and butter like go-to maps. Like they had good searches too. It was, for the most part, they had like hotel search. They're 6-2, 4-1 in embassy. Like they had good maps. It's just like I feel like that control kind of hurt them. So like yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I think they were better than some people give them credit to. I know people's standards for everyone's obviously always going to be different, but at the end of the day, like yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were just a couple of moments from winning potentially two different events. And then just had difficulties at the end of the season keeping up in Fumble Major 5, even though they look really good. And then Champs obviously was tough. So it's gonna be turnover in the OpTic camp. But I think regardless, again, they're the #1 destination now. Obviously, if your team is locked, Chris, and I think they're gonna pretty much have their choice of who's available, or maybe they go try and buy someone else. So we'll see what they do for their last spot. I think that will do it for the Rostermania question. So chat, we're going to now reach out to y'all in my chat and Chris's chat. Let us know if you have questions. We'll grab like 2 or 3 and then we'll call it. So appreciate y'all tuning in. We do this just to kind of while people ask questions. We do this like every week, Chris and I, even during the off season. So make sure you tune in. We're going to probably do these during the week and stay tuned to Twitter. I saw a lot of people asking this question in chat. The Alex situation with LAG. Start with you, Chris. Like, what do you think LAG should do about that? Do you think they should try and get him out of the contract? Do you try and build something around Alec? I know he didn't have the best of seasons, but you obviously coached him for a while. Like, what do you think? What do you think? How do you think that situation should resolve itself?
I don't know. I mean, you might want to get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? And like, obviously, it depends on like how you're trying to build, what you're trying to spend. Again, what you're trying to spend is always, I feel like the biggest factor to all of that. Like, if you're trying to spend and get these big name players, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money. You want to spend a lot of money and put good people around him, sure. But at the same time, like, just being completely transparent, like, I don't think he had the best of years, obviously, and getting people to also play. I think people still want to play with him because of like just obviously his history, you know, like he's like, you can't just like write that off because of that, but like it just depends on who he can get to also want to play with him and if also they're willing to spend. But if they're not, then like maybe you try and get rid of him, get some money for yourself and kind of field like a different like team or something. I'm not too sure. I haven't really heard too much about him in this offseason. The only thing I heard at one point was he was potentially with Illy, and that could have been like some bullshit source. Like I don't know. So shit, I don't really know. It's the route that they want to go on how much they're actually willing to put out there to get people around him. So that's kind of depends. What are you laughing about, Ben? What?
No, it's just some funny. This is some funny stuff on the timeline. But I agree with you with the Alex situation. Look, I think he's talked about it. Like there's certain things he needs to work on in his life to, I think, improve team performance, improve his individual performance.
Yeah.
And I think these next 5 or 6 months are time for him to work on that and come back day one for scrims next season and be like a different person. He does that. We've seen what Alec does at his best. There's a reason this guy has multiple rings. There's a reason he's been a top AR for a long time. One season doesn't really knock you from the peg. Obviously, stock's not as high as it was, after you guys obviously moved on from him last year, but there's still a good career ahead of him. And I think it's surrounding him with players that have a similar mindset. I think for LAG, I don't know how much money they're going to spend this offseason. I don't know what their priorities are. But there are some good players out there. And I think that if LAG navigates this correctly, I think they can build a good team around Alec. And I think there's a role where they can come out of this with some practices like a top 4, top 5 team. I don't think it's impossible.
It's not impossible.
If you get the Alec from past years where he's just a top 5 AR in the game, top 3 AR,
A big thing is going to be him
for
that. Yeah, it's a lot of it is also going to rely on who he wants to be himself. Like period. Like like how he wants to play. Because I don't think this year in general was a full representation of like how he can play. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he's as bad as the stats showed. But at the end of the day, too, like with that happens and like you have to turn that around too. But I do 100% think that they could form a team with the right people around him and still be pretty good if they go that route. It just depends on who they want to get. There's still plenty of options that like you can still form pretty good teams, so I wouldn't be too worried.
I got a question in my chat. This is for you, Ken. People are asking, like, obviously, I know you're still thinking about what you're going to do in the offseason. Like, are you role flexible? Do you want to run a sub next year, or are you down to maybe run an AR or maybe a flex if that exists in the next game?
Well, I'm looking to run a flex. Stats were like shown to me after champs about how good I am with an AR in my hand. And I mean, even Chris talked to it a little bit in Cold War. It's just like in Cold War, I just felt like if we just needed like some like me and Drazah were really, really good at that game. It's just like I feel like if we could find like two really, really good subs, and I'm not saying that our subs were absolutely trash. I just feel like it just like I don't know. People like say my impact with AR is like limited, but I disagree. I feel like I have the potential to win people games or like win games for myself, hard carry games, or even like I feel like for me it's like I'm looking to make the right play most of the time anyway. So it's like if I could have any gun in my hand at the time and decide on which one I want to do as a flex, it's better for me. And I've always been that way. I've always had that mindset. I think in Vanguard, it's overrated for like people to say like or just like faded to say like the sub was the reason our team is so good. I feel like the like we touched on a little bit is like the map said like I could have run a third AR on where we're just dominant at.
Or your best map was Gavutu.
Exactly. In Berlin.
Yeah.
I was out on Berlin all the time.
Like, fucking nasty in Berlin.
If I can like run around the map and depict on like how I want to like play the situation. Do I want to have a sub in the situation or AR? It's when I'm at my best. So realistically, I want to run a flex next year, and that's the plan. Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. I'm not against running a sub either, so.
Yeah, and to add on to your thing, which is with the AR, because someone was spitting fucking crazy in here earlier before this all started. Like, they were saying like your Cold War stats weren't good. I like went back and I have them up. Just like your hardpoint stats for the year. Kenny, you had the most kills per 10 minutes on your team with 23.5, which was like the most on your team, which is good at the time. I don't know compared to the rest, but I'm sure that was pretty high. You had a 1.05. And you had the most engagements on your team with an AR.
I'm pretty sure for most of the year too, like kills per 10 minutes, I was like in the AR stat, like top 5.
Probably pretty high.
Most of the year.
Well, because you're aggressive with that shit. Yeah.
Exactly, and like that game, I actually thought fit my play style really, really well. Like I was so mad that year didn't go as I wanted because I actually loved that game. Like I love running around the Krieg.
Honestly, if the XM4 didn't get G8, I feel like you would have been godlike with that. Were you good with that gun?
I was gross.
Were you?
Yeah, like stage 1 of that game, I was gross. Like with M4.
I don't remember that far back.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's just like I feel like it's just like the year was so bad for us that like I feel like how I was actually playing, like how good I was actually playing, just kind of went under the radar because we obviously weren't putting things together and like placing well.
Yeah,
But
you had a
yeah, I
different
thought
teammate every other
I was
day.
really good.
Like you could have been fucking
Yeah, it shows
him.
crazy.
It wouldn't have mattered. You know what I mean? Like it just like
Exactly.
Yeah, just
yeah.
so much instability.
But
Last question,
Go for
unless
it.
you got a question, Chris.
no,
Do you have
I was
any
just gonna
question?
say like to add on to like Kenny. Like I think like just obviously since you're here, like I think you're really good with both roles, and I think like you as a player in general, I feel like you just know the fundamentals and how to win. I feel like you make the right plays. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you've like learned Call of Duty now so long, like from TK with Lamar, obviously just kind of doing whatever the fuck you wanted on that team, but like then like going from like that, like I feel like that helped you, and then like the Black Ops 4 and then everything else, like I feel like you
Definitely came a long
are
way.
really good like at doing like a lot of the shit that people don't want to do and like filling gaps, but I feel like you do it really well with an AR and stuff and too. But then again, you can run a sub, so it's like
That's
I
one
think
thing I
you're good
wanted to
either
touch
way.
on too. Is like people bring up like TK, like why can't Ken just play like TK? I'm like, I don't think I understand. Like in the moment, I don't know what I didn't know what I know now, but like I was like unintentionally like hoeing my team. Like how I was playing is like I'm literally playing to hard carry the game and don't care what's going on. I'm putting up 40 and 40 and I'm playing well, and I think I was really, really good at the game. It's just like, bro, when you have that play style, like you have to be like you need to be slaying or like your team just looks really, really bad. And I feel like over my COD years, I've just learned that like that play style doesn't help your teammates out. And it's like if like for example, like I don't think MW is my best year. And if I'm playing like that at MW, our team's super, super chalk regardless. Because I'm playing at a pace that like doesn't even matter. Like I don't even care for my teammates, and I'm also just not getting a kill. It's like for me, like that kill whore, like green light can be super super overrated in my opinion. I think it like doesn't allow your teammates to like reach their potentials either. So for me, it's like I don't want to be in that spot if that makes sense. Like I don't want to be the player that's like just playing for myself and doing my own thing. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Well, it's hard
I
to be that player when you see what you're doing to the other people around you. I feel
exactly.
like you've been around for so long, and I feel like you've seen like, damn, I'm frying, but like I'm making this shit hard on X, Y, or Z. You know what I mean? Like it's like I feel like when you start really noticing like how hard you make it on some people to like win, it depends. It also depends on like the people you play, because I feel like Lamar's style, like the win condition of that TK team was for you to do that, but like
What's for me to do that exactly.
Lamar also plays like that a lot because like again, that's like how Lamar likes to play too. Like he likes to get like a superstar or like find someone new and push them out into the goddamn stardom of like do whatever the fuck you can. I will do everything else, and like that's why I always have like tipped it in that sense too. Like I feel like he has a good like method with that, but like yeah, I feel like the more you kind of grow up and like realize
At the end
like,
of the day, it's always gonna be like what works best for the team.
yeah,
So if it, like it needs you to be that player, like and I think that's one thing for me too is like I've always tried to figure out what's my role in the team and try to play as best as possible.
that's true too. Like what is the like I feel like that TK win condition was that and you did that. But like I feel like the certain teams you can't like our Black Ops 4 team when we worked together, I don't think you were just gonna run around and go fucking nuts. Like that would not have worked. Like you know what I mean? We needed you to do what you were doing with the Maddox and you did it really well. So it's like, yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
But I have one more question, Ken, and then we'll bounce. This is from Shrite Droot in my chat. A little bit of office reference. Can you ask Kenny who he would gun 10 out of 10 times 24/7 and who would gun him?
I'm gunning Sam 10 out of 10 times. 10 out of 10 times. That's my boy. I just be gunning Sam. Who would gun me? Let me think, bro. There's obviously people that like gun you and you're like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts. Like I think I mean Draz, I would say Draz is up there, but I probably if I don't have to gas my teammates from I would say Abizi. I think Abizi wins some gunfights versus you that's like the fuck like what the hell? And I feel like that's one person that I don't think he would gun me every time, but he's a person that I do noticeably like can't like gun me. So I feel like if there was a player I had to pick that's other than like somebody I know, I would say Abizi because I think a lot of players would pick Abe.
That's
I
a
hate the way
good,
he challenges gunfights,
respectable.
bro.
You
Bro,
hate
he
it?
wins nutty
Yeah.
like
Dude, I play him in
didn't
free for alls. I
last
did.
year, and he jumped like he was jumping at you. And me and Zach even had the one day where we got in a call and we were like talking about it, like, bro, this guy is jumping at us. Like, am I tweet? Like, why is he just jump? And like, that's his play style. He'll win it. So it's like, I mean,
That is crazy.
there's people that are gonna gun you. That's normal. But now every time is nuts. I'll say.
Yeah,
that.
well, I mean, I don't think you can answer that
You know what I
question.
mean?
Yeah, you can't
Every
answer that
time it's
question.
Like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm horrendous. Like, sometimes I'm like, why the fuck is he jumping at me? All right, freebie. But
Yeah.
like, sometimes he might win. I'm just like, oh shit, he just shit
Yeah,
on me.
no. Well, I feel like all top players go back and forth with gunning each other. Like, if you're actually being honest about that. But yeah, no, every time's a little fucking out of this world.
100%.
But you would be,
Well,
but Sam would be every time though, 100%.
Yeah, Sam's every time.
Yeah, Sam's every time.
That's my boy. That's
Yeah,
my boy though.
My
That's
bad,
every
Sam.
time.
Well, we'll try and get Sam's reaction to that at a later date when he watches this episode. But Chris, you want to do the outro and get us out of here?
Yeah, dude. Everyone in the chat, obviously, appreciate you guys coming out, showing some love. I know you guys were very active. I'm assuming Ben, your chat was pretty crazy too. But just overall, I feel like the support on the show was crazy today. I want to say, Kenny, obviously, thank you for coming out. I think this is my favorite episode we've done so far. To be honest with you,
Clean.
I feel like
because of Ken, man. That's
yeah, I
'cause
feel
of
like
Ken.
honestly, I feel like Ken was.
Bro.
I feel like Ken was fucking good to talk to about like just the stuff beforehand and like his career, and then obviously when we talked about the stuff like Rostermania, I feel like it was probably our best episode from my perspective. So I had a lot of fun. So I appreciate you, Kenny, coming out. And obviously, if you ever want to get back on it, you're free to come on here whenever you want. But yeah, I appreciate it. Ben, you did good too. You did good too.
Oh, thank
Thanks,
you. I
Ben.
appreciate it.
I appreciate.
The rare crowd of guests
you
is
did
usually
good
just
too.
fucking
Ben. I don't want to leave you out of this one, Ben. I
bullshit
think you
my
did a good
way.
job today, dude. You did a good
Jet ski
job.
thing was rogue though, but
Yeah, that was a little. I was
Whatever.
not expecting that. but-
Fernando's my boy, dude. Like I think he did.
Yeah,
that
but-
was hilarious because
but
it's like
still.
you had a whole pause for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, he had me
I
thinking.
built it up. I built it up, bro.
Yeah, you had us thinking, but yeah, dude, seriously, I appreciate you guys. Everyone that came out and watched the show, appreciate it. Everything will be on YouTube really, really soon. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, everything that you need to know about this episode, audio links and all that stuff will be in the description below as well. So appreciate you guys showing up and showing love. And, we'll see you guys next time on the next one, which would be the 16th episode coming to you soon. Leave a comment below on who you want to see as the next guest. Peace.